Oh,
Oh yeah, I got you onto those shakes, didn't I?
oh no, I haven't had one yet, but I didn't want to be a fat fuck by myself. I was like, you know what? Next time the I was like, next time the cunt's down, we'll fucking get some shakes. Um, we're
Yeah, they
live, by
are
the way.
ridiculous little shakes. Yeah, that's fine. We're just talking about shakes, folks. Welcome to the Cultured
Yeah.
Swines, episode 5. The sleepless night of dread before yet another shit episode of The Acolyte comes out. Oh, do you remember what shake you got
It
last
is.
time?
I got a boring vanilla one.
I remember you
But I love
staring at
that.
mine, being totally jealous of it.
That's right. That's when I was on my sister's couch, and
Dude,
I was like,
something's
I
up with
don't
your
fuck
something's up with your mic. It sounds like it's got a mosquito in it.
really.
Yeah, bizarre. And off he goes. Yes, we go to BZ Burgers, place not far from where Adrian lives. They do these delectable burgers, but they just do these thick as fuck milkshakes, full of ice cream and shit that just, oh, it's the shit out of a McDonald's shake any day of the week. And I will fight anyone who wants to disagree. But it's funny, he got a vanilla one and was sitting there looking at my one the whole time. I think I got like honeycomb or something like that. And he was sitting there drooling the entire time. Not for the first time. So unfortunately, we've got Acolyte episode 7 coming up.
All right. Is that better?
That is better, yes.
Okay. Good. Good. Good.
What was
Sorry,
it?
I'm thinking there. You know what? I did tech support. I turned it on and off.
Well done.
I know
The
it's
old.
the old tech support, but it's not. What do you call it? I got a beacon mic, so it's still a USB mic that goes through one of those fancy schmancy like audio interfaces. So it's not like an XLR mic. And all I've noticed is that sometimes I buy some of the best gear and I still sound like fucking shit. So it's like money doesn't buy you
Maybe
quality.
it's just your voice, mate. Maybe you're just full of shit.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a fucking. Maybe I'm just shit. Like I'm not the content creator I thought I was. I mean,
Nah.
then again, judging by my old streams, people just watched me for Star Wars and not me. I was one of the most soberly heartbreaking things ever. As soon as Battlefront finished in this country, I was left for dead.
Yep,
Um,
abandoned.
I was abandoned like a
Cold
whore on
out
the
here.
street. Literally. I mean, imagine if that was my sole income. I would have been fucking homeless, sucking dick on the street.
Well, that's the thing with all the Twitch streamers and stuff. They all sit there and play the same games over and over and over for like 8 hours a day. It's like you can't tell me. You see when the opportunity comes to play a new game, when they're allowed to play or have been paid to play a new game, they're on it like a flash because they're just so bored of playing the same shit every day. That's why I never really wanted to make it as a Twitch streamer. And
Yeah,
if I
but you know,
did, it was going to be for variety, which I think is pretty limited for most people because most people just tune in for a game.
well, do you know what? When we first started off back in 2017, I think that variety was a viable option. And what I mean by that is like there were like games coming out, I guess a bit readily, and then they sort of started drying up, obviously heading up to that COVID period where now you're right. I think variety is primarily in the indie spectrum. So like I see a lot of streamers that do like quote unquote variety that literally just try out indie horror games and things like that. There's a plethora of those. So in terms of the diversity in AAA titles, like they are poo. Like I am not even excited for Star Wars Outlaws. Like, I wanted to give it a go because even though people already had their now I'd like to hear your comments, but even though people already had their like pre-assumed assumptions on Outlaws, I said probably a really hot take. It felt a bit like George Lucasy, which I liked. Like the cantinas, the sort of it was a bit grungier. It wasn't necessarily that have a prequel feel, and it didn't necessarily have even a Disney feel. So what did you think from the trailer while I go get my tea?
Oh, God, I haven't watched it in a while. I'd have to see it again. But from what I remember all the talk about it was that the chick was ugly as fuck. That's the main thing I remember from the discourse of the whole thing was that Oh, the girl's ugly. It's like, yeah, all right. That's all there is to talk about. It's not really striking my interest as such. But there you go. It's not really grabbed my attention all that much. It's like,
Well, there you have it. The bitch was ugly, apparently. But I mean, like, look, let's be honest. I mean, Cal Kestis wasn't exactly a fucking heartthrob. Even if you are a chick, he's a fucking soulless ranger.
that's true.
Jedi Fallen Order, mate. So, but I mean, like, look, I mean, in saying that, I actually really liked the character of Cal Kestis. I think he was amazing. A lot of people maybe don't like it. I actually really liked the first Jedi Fallen Order. I thought that was sick. The second one, yeah, look, again, amazing gameplay. Oh, just the story was like, I don't
raving
know, like,
reviews.
oh no, do you know what? I was torn about it because they brought the Disney bullshit High Republic into it, because apparently, and I don't know how this works, but there was a fucking Jedi from the High Republic era just being pickled in Bacta, in a Bacta tank for 200 years. And I was just like, I think Bacta heals you. I don't think it'll prolong your life. Like, this guy's been jamming in Bacta juice for like fucking hundreds of years.
He'd come out looking like a scrotum.
Well, not that. I'm just like, bro, like, that doesn't stop you from dying. Like, it does from injuries, but it doesn't, like, you know what I mean? Or maybe we just don't understand Bacta. Like, maybe you can just pickle yourself for fucking as long as you want, like a stasis. Like, but that was a weird sort of thing to sort of bring in. It's not like he wasn't even in carbon freeze. He was just in,
basically a gherkin.
basically, yeah, he was just a fucking a High Republic pickle. And I was just like, you know, it would have made more sense if they just, in the story, if the person who put him in there just carbon froze him. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, then I would have been like, all right, you know, we could have something viable, and Cal Kestis unfreezes the cunt. But I mean, this guy basically got unpickled, woke up, realized where he was, got the shits, made his crystal turn red, and attacked Cal Kestis. I'm like, bro, this cunt just freed you from the pickle juice. Why are you attacking him? But then there was like another Sith sort of thing there, like a Jedi turned bad, and I think I told you it felt like a ripoff of Lord of the Rings in a little bit, because they found like this old planet of the Jedi that apparently is meant to be like a new haven or something, and they called it Talinor. And I'm like, that's lazy. That's just like a ripoff of Valinor.
Yeah,
from Lord of the Rings. Like, you know what I mean?
Sounds very Lord of the Rings-ish.
Yeah, I'm like, Talinor. That sounds a lot like Valinor. So maybe it was an inspiration. Yeah, maybe. But the storyline of Fallen Order was leaps and bounds better than Survivor. Although he did fuck Merrin, the Night Sister, which I liked. Not that he got to see her, but I'm happy that he plowed her.
He plows the chick.
Oh, it's implied that they fuck. It goes dark after they have a little kiss in the night fire, and they wake up next to each other. So if you didn't get any, I'd be upset. But
so the dirty red sack gets in.
Oh, to the Night Sister, dude, she's hot. Like, I was actually happy. I was like, fuck yeah, here we go. Go on, tuck in, son. Not that I needed to see it, because you know, overtly sexual themes are strange in Star Wars, as we saw in the new Acolyte.
You didn't want to see the ginger freckled sausage?
No, I was good. I was good just knowing that they plowed off screen. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we saw Amanda Stenberg look at fucking Discount Ezra Miller's cock, which is fucking weird.
No, we'll get into that.
Oh, we will. But, you know, for the time being, this is the Star Wars Outlaws trailer.
Let's have a look.
Welcome to the first ever open world Star Wars game. Set in the dangerous golden age of the underworld.
Let's raise the stakes, shall we?
Okay. You play as Kay Vess, a scoundrel looking to start a new life. Kay gets pulled into a plan that will change everything.
I believe if you follow the plan, no one gets hurt.
Fortunately, she won't do it alone.
Is that one of those assassin droids?
Have been inseparable partners.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Helping each other every step of the way.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck was that punch? That looked really weird.
Using their criminal skills and tools,
It was a girl punch.
Kay and Nix will have to constantly adapt to every scenario.
Nix, you want to drop that for me? Come on, come on. Whoa.
If you don't want me to sound the alarm,
The fuck?
get me out of here.
As your versatility grows,
Speaking of pickles,
access
There we
to
go.
new skills and more lucrative contracts.
Oh yeah.
There she is.
A friend needs a little something stolen.
And in this world, your actions have consequences.
I can't let you walk out of here.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna finish it.
Shame.
And reputation is everything.
Where is he?
Oh.
The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, and more attention you'll receive from some of the most notorious syndicates of the galaxy.
And how did you think it was going to end?
Tell the governor the payments will not increase.
It's up to you where your loyalties lie.
Hey, Nix!
Being wanted by the Empire brings a new set
What's Leslie Headland doing there?
of challenges.
This is getting bad. Hold tight!
So as your exploits grow, beware of who you cross.
Hang on!
Scattered across the stars are unique locations, rich biomes, environments, and adventures to discover. Traverse the lush jungle world of Akiva, the ancient city of Kijimi, the dangerous savannah moon of Tashara, or roam the lawless planet of Tatooine. When it's time to move, pilot K's Trailblazer to transition from planet to planet.
MD, fire up the hyperdrive.
Ready to jump.
Is that ship called the Trailblazer? Did I hear that right?
I didn't hear it.
I think it was called the Trailblazer. That might be the only thing I dislike about this trailer.
Why did you dislike that?
Once you land, you can explore all these worlds on K's S-57
Think about it.
Cardinal speeder.
Feminism.
This is the
Yeah, I
life of
figured that's
outlaw,
what you were going to
a
say.
life where you fight, explore, and infiltrate parts of the galaxy you never thought possible. There are opportunities at every turn, and if you're willing to take the risk and defy the odds, the galaxy is yours for the taking.
All right, like from my first sort of like glances there, I fuck with that. I like it. What about you?
I'm going to sound like a massive fuckwit right now, which
Go on.
basically is nothing different. That just sounds like usual me. That just looks like the same generic open world shit we've been getting for 10 years. Just with a Star Wars skin on it.
Nah. I didn't
You
see
know
that
what?
generic.
You know what?
I didn't see it that generic.
It's being made by Ubisoft, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it's not good because the only thing that's really bad at this point is those fucking paywalls, where you have to.
Paywalls. It's just this, like their open world. You know what it looked like to me? It looked like Far Cry with a Star Wars skin.
Really?
Yes.
Hmm.
I liked Far Cry 3. I played Far Cry 3. I started playing Far Cry 4. I realized it was exactly the same as Far Cry 3, just with a different map and a different story. But the gameplay, functionality, all that kind of stuff, the map was exactly the same. It was just like I played this game, it's just a different story.
See,
And I'm
I
willing
didn't
to
actually.
bet. Go
Yeah.
on.
Well, I was going to say I didn't actually play Far Cry, so I can't speak on the gameplay. But so if it is rinse and repeat, I guess for someone that's experienced that, if it is that, then that'll be annoying for me. It might be something new. If you haven't
There are
played Far
things
Cry.
in there like the reputation system and all that I reckon have. It's a good ideas. I am. I reckon it's going to lack depth.
You reckon it's gonna
I
like?
reckon a lot of that stuff's going to be very surface level,
Interesting.
simple stuff. But that's
I
just
mean,
me. What I think it's going to end up being is the same as that's fuck. It's the same
Yeah.
as any other Ubisoft open world game where they give you a map and they put pointers on there to every little thing, leaving it just takes all the wonder out of the game. Like there's no point searching for stuff because it tells you where everything is.
Well, do you know what? I think at this point we might have a great time reviewing it because from the trailer, I actually fuck with it. I like it. Like I said, I don't have that familiarity because I haven't played Far Cry and stuff like that. But the thing that puts me off the most is this shit. The pricing. It's like $70. You get what? The base game and a pre-order bonus. Gold edition gets you what? For half the price more. You get what? 3 days early access and a season pass. We don't like what's ever included in that. Ultimate edition gets you what? Rogue Infiltrator bundle. I'm guessing these are skins, Sabak bundle, and digital art book for $130. And I'm not sure which one is the editions. Is that it? I don't know which one gives you the extra fucking. I think it's this one. You get like an extra mission or something, maybe.
You pay more and you get an extra mission.
I think so. Well, it's monthly. So they want you to subscribe, I guess, to their $20 or $18 a month. Which, I mean, theoretically, you could also just subscribe, play it for a month, and unsubscribe, and you've got the whole thing for fucking $18. Which is what I'll do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest, I'm not a fucking idiot. It's just like day one.
Yeah, it's just another freaking service you got to give your information to. That's what pisses me off about that, and it's just yet another step towards not actually owning your games. Like they could just turn it off on you at any point.
I mean, like, I think in this day and age, right, they can turn on and off your licenses unless you have a physical copy of the game, which this is only going to exist if you get it on a console, right? Because even if you go buy it at a JB Hi-Fi or a GameStop, whatever the fuck it is, even if you go for PC, it's a download key, right?
Mm.
Yeah, where like the consoles actually still have the discs and shit.
See, like when I get a game coming out that I actually give a shit about, if it's there, I will always get a physical copy.
So you're going to get this on the console then?
Fuck no, because I don't care about it.
I mean, so like, you're not excited from the trailer, but like, how did you see the look and feel? Because I didn't think the chick was that ugly, by the way.
Oh, she's not horrendous. It was in one of the trailers they showed. It was one of the first trailers they showed where she looked kind of. It's more that the voice. I think it was the voice actor is really hot, and they've gone out of their way to make it not look like her. Whereas any male ones they get in, they can go to great lengths to make it look like the dude. That's where it pisses people off.
Oh, really?
I've heard Asmongold has a theory about this.
Go on.
And it relates to the prices that you were looking at just a second ago. It said the biggest problem with all this is actually the pricing. Where has anyone thought about the fact that maybe they've made her look that way because that's what everyone's talking about? They're not talking about the pricing.
Nah. That'd be horrendous if they did that. But you're right. She's fucking gorgeous in real life.
Get it up. Want to see it?
No, she really is.
The picture's not your penis.
She's actually, she's actually quite beautiful. Yes, this is how you work a computer, dude. Yeah, here. This is the model.
Yep,
Of the
she's hot
voice
as fuck.
actor. Yeah, and they made her a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is like would have been the rendition if they made him in the game, which what it should have been.
Yeah, and even that, just fix the hair because the hair looks shit.
But This is weird. Like she's they motion capture.
See,
Oh, it's not.
this
Oh,
is why everyone talks about this shit. Is because when you see
wow.
when you see males, they actually this Mortal Kombat 1 this happened with quite a lot. They got like Homelander and John Cena's Peacemaker as characters, and they did their faces to the T, but they made all the chicks ugly.
What's that? If I was her, I'd be fucking upset. I mean, she got paid anyway, but like, surely she knows she's a great looking girl. Like,
Yes, I'm sure she's
wow.
probably been told that at some point by some simp.
Oh fuck, I'll say she's hot as fuck. But I mean,
No, I mean to her face.
no, I wish.
or more likely on her Instagram. Oh, you're so pretty.
Yeah, I'm going there in a sec. No, but it's no. But I don't understand it. I mean, like, it's why? Like, I don't get it.
It's a big thing.
But
Big thing
why?
in the
Like,
gaming
I mean, like, girls love playing and
it's
looking at hot
DEI.
girls as well. Like, but how?
It's
Who?
DEI, mate.
But who's it
Not allowed to-
for?
you're not- girls aren't allowed to be pretty anymore. How have you not realised this? It's been
but
happening for a while.
But I was looking at the new what do you call it? The Celeblade when I was playing it, and then
Yeah, that one was the exception to the rule.
Well, I was on stream, not on stream. Sorry, I hopped on Twitch just to see who was who was streaming it. Like, I guess demographics and all that kind of jazz. And I saw so many girls playing it, and I was like, well,
believe it or not, women like to play as hot women as well. It's not just a dude thing.
yeah, right.
I mean, like, it's just human nature. We want to play as something more than ourselves. We're trying to escape reality. This is the point. If I wanted to play as myself in something, I'd just go live my real life.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: like girls love playing as hot girls, even if it's like role play. I mean, like, I don't understand, like, who's it for, right? Who is this for? That's what I want to know. Like, who the fuck?
Mate,
are they
we've been
making it
wondering
for?
about this for fucking years. Who this shit is for? Couldn't tell you. This is why I was so disappointed with Mortal Kombat 1 with what they did with their women. And even not in that, in Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
They did the same thing, where Mortal Kombat for years was built on they were the most anti-establishment studio going around. Them and the GTA mob. What do they call Rockstar? Like, those were the guys with the biggest balls, and now they've got none. Because if you recall, the rating system for games was actually created because of the original Mortal Kombat game. It was so violent and gross to what people were used to back in the day that all the mothers were like, "Oh, my child can't be playing that." So they created the rating system. That's how it happened. But it was always built on gore and hot chicks. That was pretty much it. And then they removed the hot chicks. Like, after years, there was a time in like the mid 2000s, a game was coming out, and they were still copping shit for their portrayals of women and whatnot, because they're all, busty anime women, basically. And it was fucking hilarious. But at one point, there was like a competition for hottest video game girl or something. They made a 30-second clip of one of the characters, Jade. Basically, I can't remember what it was. Yeah, just some kind of competition for the hottest video game character. And she did her own like 30-second video that they actually had to make.
Jade, sorry?
Jade was the character. Look up, go up top.
To hear.
No,
Search
just
bar?
like in the search bar, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They go Jade. Oh, sorry, Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
Jade. 30 seconds clip. Just say 30-second clip.
I'm going to quickly just take this off the screen just in case something else comes up.
That's wise.
Okay, and what am I looking at here?
There should be a YouTube.
This one? Yeah?
Nah. It's really short. Like it's go girls. Go back. Go to see where it says Mortal Kombat. Yeah, that one. Click on that. Go into it. So around this time, they were copying shit for their women being too sexualized, so they did this.
Oh, who
You'll
did
be able
it?
to watch it. It's PG. You can put it up.
Who did, sorry?
Eh?
Who did this?
The Mortal Kombat guys, like they actually made this.
So so before they used to actually bite back.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jade from Mortal Kombat. You know, saved Earthrealm from evil, yada yada yada.
Hang on, this is the jiggle mechanics. That was wild.
Hi, I'm Jade from Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
You know,
Oh!
saved Earthrealm from evil, yada yada yada. That was tough, but now I'm ready for some real competition. Here, write this down. I'm 36, 24, 36, and I'm a Scorpio. Got it? Winning Girls Gone Wired isn't just about a pretty face. You think Pamela Anderson can high kick a guy into rotating saw blades? I've got the brains, the brawn, and the polygons to win this thing. If I have to break every one of you in half to do it. So vote for me, Jade.
okay. Oh, she got my fucking vote.
Yeah, but that my point is, like when society was like getting up them for something, they just shove it back in their face, just like that. So when the ESG money came around, they bended the knee with Mortal Kombat 11, and they started to go with the realism approach. And it's just like, what? We're fighting in outer space with fucking people who can change skin and all this other shit. All these like sorcerers going all over the place, but we're worried about realism. That makes sense.
But I disagree with that whole fucking premise. So what? Realism. So there's
Yeah,
no
everyone
real-
disagreed with it. Everyone knew what it was. That was just the line they were given.
No, I'm saying I disagree in the point. It's just like what there's it's not realistic to have good looking women.
Yeah, apparently hot chicks don't exist.
No, fuck off. Like, no, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like I get it. Like you know, let's just say if you wanted to promote a more, I guess, generic looking, like quote unquote, like I don't know, average female, if that's the way you want to put it. I mean, as a dude, do I want to play as an average bloke? Like, do I want to play as myself that hasn't gone to the gym for like a year? Like, if I didn't go to the gym for a year, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if you like, you know, you let yourself go, look in the mirror and go, "Fuck, I want to play that as a character." It's like, no, you know, you look like you're gonna pull a hammy going to the fucking toilet. Like, it's just
Like
you know,
when you ever get a game with a character creator, most people, like, how often do you see? Well, some people will do it for a laugh and make
the meme,
characters
yeah,
look really weird, or be fat and all that kind of stuff because it's funny. But when
yeah.
people are generally creating the character on their own, what do they look like? They're always
Oh,
buff.
if it's a bloke, it looks like usually jacked as shit. That looks super cool. I mean, like, see, I'm
It's
the
like
exception.
Sylvester Stallone from the 80s.
Yeah, I'm the exception to the rule. I always play a chick.
You
So I'm a
horn dog.
fucker. Exactly. I don't know. People go, "Are you just a creep?" I'm like, usually my chicks that I play are like really hot with skimpy clothes. Like, yeah, well, call me a fucking queer. I don't fucking know. Call me weirdo. Call me a creep.
They like
Like,
chicks.
Yeah, sue me. I like hot chicks. Like, so like I like even my SWOTOR characters. Like, oh, you should see her. She's basically a Togruta rocking around in a slave layer outfit. It's fucking wild.
Oh fuck yeah!
Like, yeah, it's hot as fuck. But whatever.
Help
Like,
keep
you know
the
what I mean?
engagement up.
That's it. And it's funny every time I go into like Nal Shadar or something like that, you just get like this stream of just like other players just following me around the map. I'm like, dude, I'm a dude, leave me alone. Like, I felt like a hot chick.
It'd be so funny. Like you could hear, like they start talking to you, and you just answer them with like the deepest voice possible. Hi, my name's Terry.
I'm Jerry. Yeah, no. So, but yeah, look, you see girls on streamers that are girls and how they create their characters and how blokes create their characters. I think there's enough of a case study just off Twitch alone to show you it's just like people don't play as average looking people. That's not a thing. Like it's like you said, it's entertainment. It's meant for escapism. Like if I was like, you know, Bart Simpson, if I was that fat and I had to wash myself on a rag on a stick, I wouldn't play as a fat you know what I mean? I wouldn't play as a fat obese cunt that can't wash himself. Like, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's just like but for blokes, it's like I don't think they've made them fat and gross in video games. They've made men look really pathetic.
Yeah,
in video games lately, and well, it's really weird. I mean, like, yeah,
video games.
But if I was a girl, I'd be so like weirded out. I'm like, why are you making us look terrible? Like that actress, the voice actress for Star Wars Outlaws, like you just pointed out, she's actually really, really beautiful in real life, and they made her character look a bit. I guess if they tried to make her look rougher around the edges, you know, that probably would have been.
She'd still be way hotter than that and be rough around the edges.
Of course, like
she was rough around the chin.
But do you know it's a good example of this, right? Like maybe not Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, but she's hot as, but like a girl that's rough around the edges, like that's still quite beautiful. And I'm trying to think of like, what was her name? I'm actually having a fucking dementia moment right now.
I was going to say you've got something like 4 billion women to choose from here. I'm not sure you've narrowed.
No. It was one that I was narrowing down as a character, and I fucking like it. Literally just shot out of my brain like diarrhea. Fuck. Oh well. Moving on. I'll come to it in a second. You watch in the most obscure times, but yeah, I don't actually get it. Like the reason why they do it. If I was a guy, I'd be upset.
Yeah.
Like.
No, look, there are girls out there that are upset about this shit.
Do you know one girl that I've noticed that is upset about this stuff? And I think she implies that she necessarily doesn't go towards the stereotype political narrative of like, you know how, for example, if you don't like anything, you're automatically a Nazi for some reason?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't like Star Wars, or you're a fascist. Like, oh, thanks. Didn't know that myself. Fuck me. Snarky J cosplay. Have you seen Snarky J?
I have heard. I think a video of hers popped up on my feed the other day. I didn't watch it. She's kind of hot, isn't she?
Yes. But that's not the point. That's not the point. Hey, I'll put it up on the screen, right? And she actually, and she addresses this perfectly. Which one was it? Yeah, let's just go to a page and I'll bring her up. Snarky J. Here we go. So she had a list of videos here.
Yeah, that's the chick that popped up in my feed. Yeah.
This channel,
this one here,
and its content are usually filled with.
So not to obviously, please don't copyright me, Snarky. But so yeah, I think I can't remember which one of her videos it is, but like she basically sort of explains this, like, you know, you're automatically pushed towards a political narrative, even if you don't necessarily politically align with them. You just cast there, but it's a very deflectionary statement. That's a very I didn't mean to freeze your face like that, Snarky. But you know what I mean? Like she actually says it herself, and I think what she insinuates, and you know, this could be complete bullshit or not, is that like she might vote a certain way, she might see American politics a certain way, but they've already pigeonholed her a certain way just because evidently looking at her videos, she's on our side of the fence. Like, she fucking shits on Star Wars because Star Wars is written like shit. And I actually maintain that, like, we might have different opinions here, that for me, the wokeness in Acolyte is not even the worst part. It's fucking writing. It's written by a fucking retard.
Yes. Or a room full of retards.
Yeah, and I had a really, really unsavory image in my head just then. But I hate the defense for it. Because right now, when they say, "Oh, it's for kids," last week's episode was not for kids. Amanda,
Well, the argument it's for kids is not a valid defense. There are many good movies that were made for kids.
Well, that's right, but also
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a kids movie, and it's one of the best movies that I've seen of recent years.
Was that the one with the Reaper?
Big Bad Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, where he's like the Grim Reaper, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was really, really well written. It was exceptionally well done.
Yeah, I watched a few shorts of that. I might actually watch that.
Get on it, man. Like, if you watch that, the storytelling in that, and then you compare it to this, it's just like they're both made for kids. One's good, one is definitively not.
Well, that's right. Like the first scene of Puss in Boots when he first meets the Reaper, I was like, wow, that's actually fucking really cool. Just like the whole atmosphere of it and whatnot. But then, yeah, really well done.
Before I forget, did I see the other day that a new trailer for the new season of Arcane came out?
I have an erection if that's true.
I think I saw it somewhere. I might be wrong about that. Have a look.
Yeah, it's up. It's up. But are we gonna? Oh, it's meant to be an Acolyte stream. That's all right. We'll
come back.
We'll come back because Arcane is exceptional. Actually,
Arcane. Well, at least season 1, it was writing done correctly.
Oh yeah.
Your counsel is dead.
You walk along the edge of danger.
Wrath must be met with wrath. You will have justice.
I will lead a strike team into Zorn with 3 objectives.
Did I say witness the final chapter?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is the last scene of the last season.
Maybe following these characters of this story, because then I guess they might go on to other ones. League of Legends has lots of characters.
Yeah.
And neutralize any agents still loyal to Silco.
My sister is gone. This has to end.
Yo, the Warwick, did you see it?
Yep.
Jinx!
Finally got the name right. Sister.
Yo, I'm fucking Jade. That's sick. That's sick.
Yeah.
That's fucking sick. Yeah, animation, story done right. Holy. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you heard that. I just didn't notice the drinker did a review of the trailer, and the first thing he says. You ready?
Fuck yes. In a December this.
Oh, what a funny fucker.
That's not even a review of the trailer. That was a review of Arcane.
Drinker recommends Arcane. Oh, yes, it's 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
I just automatically thought it was for the trailer because of that was the next recommended video. But yeah, there you go. Animation done right. So as we were, me thinking of, what do you call it? A girl that's still hot and rough around the edges. I still can't fucking remember who the I was thinking of. So I think that's gonna fucking leave my brain.
On a slightly different tangent.
Yeah.
Let's. I have a new, what I would call, celebrity crush.
Yo. Is it Alessa Hemsworth?
Fucking who?
One of Chris Hemsworth's brothers. I know you were crushing on Chris Hemsworth for a while.
Oh, mate, he's a good-looking fella.
Especially when he was in the South Sydney's locker room getting his rig out for all the boys.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm raging hard right now. What a man.
Okay, but so who's your new celebrity crush?
Ana de Armas. She's like half Spanish, half Cuban chick.
So Spanish.
She's just fucking gorgeous. She was in the Blade Runner movie with Ryan Gosling.
Oh yeah. Ana
Bring
de
her up.
Armas. Yeah. Oh yeah. She's. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's even. She's just like. You know how there are some chicks that just. Although some of these photos she looks exceptional, but she looks even better in, like, you know, where there are certain chicks that just look better in real life or when they're actually in motion.
Well, that's the
like,
thing. Like,
photos don't do them justice.
Like, if you woke up next to that, the first thing you would say is "fuck yes," like every time, because you know, like even in her waking up state, she'll be hot as fuck.
Yeah.
Like even when she's dead tired, you're like, oh yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. See, for mine, mine might stab me when I wake up. Mine is still Rita Ora for some reason. Not Rita Ora. I got off Rita Ora for a bit. Dua Lipa.
Yeah, she's fine.
She's fucking.
That's a good
hot.
pick.
Yeah, Dua Lipa's mad. Anyway, this is meant to be the alkaline stream.
This is way more interesting.
Yeah, it is. Joe, there's actually one thing I want to note. People, the audience of the Alkalite, their favorite part each week of the new episode coming out is not the episode, it's the YouTubers reacting to it. That is people's favorite part now, because they're just like, great, I cannot wait to see what entertainment and comedy is going to be up now, because I can speak for myself when I say I don't usually watch Angry Joe, but holy fuck, I look forward to Angry Joe's reaction of the Alkalite episodes every time. You should actually have a listen to one of his videos reacting to the Alkalite. They are fucking funny. Him and his boys just tear it apart. Other than that, it's obviously
I watched Reaper's
the recent one.
Oh, holy shit, it was funny.
I was in stitches.
Did you hear the joke about the Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah. Oh my god! Obviously, I think Reaper's a bit more satirical, but he delivers it with such fucking comedy. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's actually just been the fun of it now, is just watching other content creators react to it. I mean, once we get our video reviews up, I think they're going to be funny. But I feel sad watching the show. Like, I was so bored last episode, and I wanted
nothing happened. That's why
I wanted to shove a pencil up my ass sideways when that demented otter started to fight fucking Amanda Stenberg. I was just like, I hate you.
Yeah.
And she still had that one expression of nothingness on her face and tried to be funny. And I laughed so hard when she factory reset the droid. Did you see it?
Yes.
I was like, imagine that's all you had to do with 3PO, like squeeze his left nipple and grab his ass, and that's like, okay.
My.
Don't mind going into factory mode. Like, yeah, I was just like, great, they're iPhones now. I don't know. There's so many little things, even though they're little and might look nitpicky, they take you out of the I guess the atmosphere of the show as well, the feeling of it. I mean, obviously the bad writing should be the first thing that takes you out of this fucking show, but there are things in there where you just it just brings on complete apathy towards the content. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't like first. Thanks. Well, there's 11 of you fuckers watching. At least one of you say g'day. But um, but yeah, like Star Wars Outlaws, that trailer for the video game, because obviously I do have a soft spot for Star Wars games. I love them. That actually might look like a bit of fun to play. Like I'll probably get it on the season pass for $18 and see if I can smash through it in a month's time and do a few reviews on it and see how it goes. It might actually be a good game, and I'm willing to give it a chance. But when it comes to the shows and more to the point, the live action stuff, like I give zero fucks. Like I go in there thinking it's going to be poo. It's like how everyone thought Andor was going to be poo. Then we watched it and I was like, wow, this person, read a pretty decent show. And unfortunately, it had the lowest viewers. The Nielsen numbers came out, Dave. I don't know if you saw them.
Yeah, I heard about this actually earlier today. Yeah, it was the least watched of all their shows.
5 million.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Sad.
And that is not a reflection on that show, because that show is very good. It doesn't, but I can also understand a lot of people might not, agree with this sentiment that it doesn't feel like Star Wars, and that sort of took a lot of people out. I say
For
it's
me personally, that I don't even care about that so much. It's just a character I don't give a fuck about. I just don't care.
Cassian.
I
You
don't
don't
care
like
at all.
Cassian?
It's not that I don't like him. I just don't care.
I mean, I guess that's fair. Like, if you
Well,
didn't
were
like
you
the character...
dying to know more about him?
So here's the thing about Andor with me, right? So yeah, this is the numbers. Just quickly before I get on to my point, Kenobi at 11 million, which that only pulled in those numbers because of Kenobi. It wasn't because the show was good. It was fucking horseshit. And the same with Boba. Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. Acolyte. I'm surprised, but yeah, Andor at 5 million is not a good metric on its quality. See,
How funny was this moment where she puts the helmet on and you literally see it stretch to her head?
Oh, they cut it.
You can see the plastic. This helmet that's meant to be made of metal.
If you were to rate these, like obviously Andor would be at the top. Like,
I'm happy to put the rest of them in the bin, from what I've heard.
I mean, if I had to, if you absolutely made me, Andor, Andor would be top. Ahsoka. Or Boba, Kenobi, then Acolyte. I mean, see, the thing is, I actually rate Acolyte as the worst piece of media they've ever done. I actually rated it lower than Rise of Skywalker, when your is a bit more accurate, where they should be probably on par with each other.
I rate The Rise of Skywalker lower purely because it's a way bigger production.
That's fair.
It's a movie. It's an installment.
Would you rate The Last
It's
Jedi
a
by
numbered
Acolyte?
installment. Like, it's got to be significantly better than what it was. However, and this is what Tom Jedi doesn't seem to grasp, is that
Sorry,
it
Tom.
was it was as bad as it was because of The Last Jedi. To me, it doesn't make sense that you can like The Last Jedi but hate that, and then like this.
Oh, I think you... Yeah, well, where would you put the Acolyte? Because I put it at the bottom of the list.
I'd say it's equal bottom, but because it is a numbered installment in the series, I'll put the Rise of Skywalker on the absolute bottom.
So because it should have a more impactful, obviously a bit of more weight to it, that's why you're just like, yeah, nah, fuck it off, sort of thing. It should have done better as a installment of a trilogy, which is a fair fucking comment. Yeah, Yeah, it's. I think Tom was more just like his argument towards the Rise of Skywalker was, you know, it was the writer choosing to sort of try and retcon or shit on Ryan Johnson rather than build off what was there and take in a brand new direction. But I think the point that is overlooked, or maybe consciously overlooked, is that you killed whatever plot was being set up dead in its tracks to leave the story to go nowhere. So not only was it a poor writing choice, and I personally objectively think that the characterization of Luke Skywalker was fucking horrendous, it was a cunt thing to do. It was a dick move. Like, you were a dick to the next writer. It was almost like done purposely to cement yourself in as like, this is going to stand out higher, even though I'm not ending the trilogy. It was almost done out of
Kind of just like, well, I don't have to worry about it, so I'll just write whatever the fuck I want.
Surely people were just like, yo, bro, like, my man, no.
Well, it's Disney's fault. It's the people in charge's fault for not having a detailed plan throughout. Like, why didn't they have one director the whole way through, or at least one story writing group the whole way through?
See, the story thing is more important. I don't necessarily agree with the premise of having the same director, because
it doesn't have to be the same director, but the writers. Yeah. It should, all of it should have been written by the same writers.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. But I also don't understand why they are doing different directors for different episodes of shows now. I think that's a bit dumb. Although it's not like Deborah Chow did the most bang up job with Kenobi. That was a steaming hot pile of fucking bantha fucking fodder. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to be a fly on the wall one day and just go to like one of those Disney creative meetings and just listen to what they say. I reckon I'll be pleasantly unsurprised. It'll be everything I expect.
I reckon it pretty much. How many fingers are you putting in tonight?
Okay, it's intense, but like, but like, you know what I mean? It'll be like everything that I would expect that has no importance in media or in a Star Wars show today. Like, you know, people can have their own sort of feelings and political opinions on whatever, and just it doesn't have to be so overt. Get inspiration on what you want, sure. Use it very lightly. Use to drive the plot of the story in a positive way. Something that's less fucking preachy. In saying that, I didn't actually find the Acolyte, like, surprising. I know it's a hot take. I didn't find it that preachy. It was like I keep saying, it was masked by the stench of shit writing.
Well, the first couple of episodes were. It's been less so as the story goes on.
You reckon the first couple of episodes, huh?
Well, there's more direct.
I would have thought episode 3 would have been the most direct thing ever.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the first 2-3 episodes, there's a lot more of that virtue signaling bullshit in it. It's become less obvious as it's gone along. And then they, of course, have their double standards where a dude can get naked and a chick sit there and gawk at his cock.
I felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that episode. That was ordinary.
So now it's been a week and we've had that episode marinate in the back of my fucking grey matter.
Marinate, that's a good word for it.
Like, I was just looking at it. I was just like,
marinating, but the marinade was already off, and it's just
the first thing that jumped out at me was, okay, Master Soul and Osha are back on the ship. He's trying to contact someone. It looks like they just got there. You know, she goes up to him, tries to off him. He can't censor in the Force for some reason because the plot needs it to be that way. And then you skip to May, who in that time that they're just on the ship was transported back to some fucking unknown planet because it's called Unknown fucking Planet. We'll call it not Octu or Octu from Timu. And she's asleep, had time to have a nap, healed her wounds. This cunt's made fucking minestrone. And she wakes up, gets, I guess, what, Osha's old shit, walks out, and this cunt comes out of nowhere and walks past to go have a dip. And I'm just like, What? How are you there? So quick. Comparison to the other characters. I'm assuming when they go side by side or big flap back and forth, it's insinuated this is happening in real time, right?
Yeah. Well,
fuck.
they
obviously
don't
not,
actually
but, like,
say anything. They just kind of. It's almost like the concept of time doesn't exist, and they just go, "Well, these characters need to be here now, so it's just going to happen."
Well, that was my biggest gripe when we get up to it. But when they, when Green Bean or Granny Smith, whatever the fuck we're calling her, came to the planet Kofa where they were before all the dead Jedi are, like, that's in the outer rim. And we didn't necessarily see a big length of time between, Osha. I mean, is it May? Who's the good one? May. Osha. Fuck, who cares?
No, Osha's the good one.
Okay, May, the fucking angry bitch. We didn't really see a big time gap between her and Sol, right? It seemed like no time passed at all. And they went from the outer rim, the core planets to the outer rim in like a matter of seconds. I'm like, dude, no. We saw in the Phantom Menace that outer rim planets to get to Coruscant, it takes days. Like, they depicted that well in the Phantom Menace. It's like when Anakin was feeling cold and, Padme went up there and went, fuck you, I'm going to put that on lay-by. That's like, basically looked at a little kid and goes, oh, fuck, I'll give you a few years, mate.
Yeah.
Like, that showed time. Like, Jar Jar was sleeping and everything. So I was like, all right, so it takes a while to get from the outer rim to the core planets. These cunts are just like, oh, I'm here now. It's like, I hate you, Leslie. You're a fucking dickhead.
I was just so lazy. Like when she shows up literally 2 seconds after old mate left, lands exactly where he landed, and is just like,
literally, I'm
lazy.
just like, it's so lazy. But also, like, getting back to that episode, do you remember, how they try to make a hypothesis of what happened to the Jedi? The very, very soy-filled Padawan of Granny Smith was like, maybe it was the moth. And I was like, yes.
Yes,
the uncharted territories of that planet killed 7 fully grown or fully trained Jedis.
All of whom have lightsaber wounds going straight through them.
Mate, it's like if I dug a trench in service and I got taken out by a fucking centipede, I wouldn't want that told at my fucking funeral. You know what I mean? Can you imagine that?
No.
Trained soldier gets taken out by a centipede.
Yeah.
Like, nah. Like, it's all, I hope that fucking never happens to anyone, but you know what I mean?
Well, it'd be a bit like that woman who died from a, what do you call it? A Dutch oven.
I can't believe that happened.
It's just like, how do you not laugh at the funeral?
I don't think you would go to the funeral, bro. Can you imagine your daughter got killed by your fart, bro? Like,
yeah,
that's the most heinous way to go as well. It's just like, dude. But I think about that. It's just like, was this bloke must have suffocated her? Like, he took the joke too far and killed her.
Well, apparently he's like an army dude or something, and so they're really like their bed sheets are done. They're packed tight.
No way, bro. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's still oxygen in there.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
No, it sounds like a made-up story. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I tucked you in so tight that you fucking suffocated, and I farted. Like, I mean, we've smelled each other's farts before, and we could strip paint off the fucking walls. So, but like, still, I don't think we'll die from it. Like, I do feel sorry for any bitch that gets Dutch oven by you or I, but they
probably deserved it.
Imagine that as a Tinder bait. Will Dutch oven inquire with him?
Dutch oven option available.
Imagine I reckon you get bites for that. As a social experiment, we should just fucking do it. See how many Dutch ovens we can hook up, but we'd have to go through it. All right.
Oh my god.
So what did you do on the weekend? Now, you know what, mate? You don't want to know. Make sure we eat Taco Bell the night before.
You're gross.
Actually, it wouldn't even take the night before for us. We're just fucking half an hour prior.
Yeah, just give me chickpeas for lunch.
Ah, yes. You and legumes do go the old trope, don't you? You guys just... You see how this is what we're talking about? We're talking about each other's farts and digestive tracts rather than the alkaline. This is
just what comes up naturally because it's so shit.
Is so shit. We're talking about legumes and how they fuck with Dave. I know
no,
she changed her
but,
name
like,
back to Dave.
You know what? Like the show is now trying to paint it out like the Jedi think Sol might have killed all those Jedi.
Oh, Granny Smith was like, that's quite the accusation. I think she knows. But like, it doesn't make sense. And like, this Kwame or fucking. Huh?
He was the one who called them.
Dun dun dun. But like, Smaller Ren isn't that old, and when she, he reveals to her that he was once a Jedi and he was cast out. He's like, I don't remember you. Obviously, you wouldn't remember you as a Jedi, like, right? But then again, in that line's defense, Granny Smith is posted on Coruscant. Osha was also on Coruscant. They don't look that fucking different in age. Surely she would have seen him or known of him, right? That seems to be a very significant Jedi Master. That's very significant Jedi Master. You would know, her Padawan. So I'm just like, even there's plausibility. It's like, why aren't you there? And he goes, it was a very long time ago. I'm like, bro, how much older could you be? Like 10 years? Like, even then, you didn't hear the story how Green being cast out his fucking her Padawan because he was weak or a cunt or he or was he trained in secret? Or is she somehow the Sith Lord? Like, where are you going with this show?
Yeah. This is what I was saying last week, is that like we've got no idea where this is going. And sometimes that's fine, but they have not done it in a good way. Like this, it just has no fucking direction. I think the next episode tomorrow is going to be another. Well, at least part of it will be another flashback because Sol's got old mate tied up, and he's ready to tell her the story.
Well, is it a 2-part finale?
I don't know. But
I'll tell you what,
is it eight? Is it 8 episodes? Is it an 8 episode season?
Yeah.
Yeah, well then they've got to give the backstory for this one so that they can have the conflict in the last one.
So are they going to release 2 parts, you reckon, though? Are they going to make us fucking wait next week for the fucking shit finale?
Well, I assume this is all leading to a big fight or something. Like there's going to be another big fight.
I just can't wait to see the collateral damage from that stupid light whip. It's fucking everyone up. Oh my God. Even on IMDb, a 3.5 out of 10. Oofed.
Yeah, it's not great.
Oofed. You guys are poo. I mean, the only redeeming quality of this show is that Daphne Keane is fucking hot.
Who?
But Little Lezzo.
Little Lezzo?
Yeah. Well, Google her without her alien makeup.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen her before. This is all right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't kick her out of bed for farting.
Imagine that being a metric. Would you kick him out of bed for farting? Yes or no? It's like, ooh. That separates the ones. All right, season 1. Let's look at the episodes. Oh, they're going to make us wait. Yeah, they're going to make us wait. So tomorrow, or today, the 9th of July, because it's midnight. No, sorry, tomorrow. Wait, I'm confused. They've been coming out every Wednesday. Why is it saying Tuesday?
Wednesday for us, maybe Tuesday night for them.
No, we're ahead.
That's what I mean. It comes out on Wednesday for us. Maybe it's Tuesday for them.
Sorry, I'm retarded. I just tracked what you said. I thought I was reading Thursday. Sorry, I'm tired. Yes, I am stupid. Okay, yes. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so it seems that we have to wait another week. So tomorrow obviously comes out for us on the 10th, 9th in the States and everywhere else. And next one will be the 16th. So yeah, they're going to make us wait a week. They're not even going to do a 2-part finale. Which is...
Well, I think there was 8 episodes listed anyway. So it's not necessarily a 2-part finale. There's 2 left. And
I'm saying they usually wrap them up 2 episodes, right? I've seen that before, like 2-episode finales. 2 separate episodes, but they release them twice. So, for example, the Bad Batch, right? They released 2 episodes for the season, and they're just not going to do that because they're dicks. And I can't wait to be left on a stupid, annoying cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I've noticed something in this show.
That's probably not going to happen.
I've noticed something in this show. Every time, like, something meaningful or impactful is about to be said or happen, it goes dark, they get interrupted, or the power cuts out.
Yeah, it's just a lazy way of extending it.
Oh, isn't it just?
Like, old mate Sol was about to tell May what happened, and then the lights came back on, and then they're like, oh, no, I don't want to say it anymore.
Especially when he was like, when we get back on the ship, I'll tell you everything. I'm like, well, no, man.
Yeah.
Because in this episode, it would have been really interesting to see his confession, to see if what even May's thoughts were on the matter, like what she would have thought. Because even if it contradicted what she thought happened, that would have been even more interesting. Because then you have like a 3-way perception: the lie, the truth, and May's sort of truth. That would have been interesting. But leading on from that, so where do we get up to?
Did you say multiple people's truth?
Truths, yes. So
that's not a
perception.
Thing. That's not real.
Multiple people's points of view or perception is a truth in their own right.
No, those words are fine. Truth is not right.
You don't think we can have different truths?
No.
Really?
No.
So, like, let's just say if I say a word.
No, dude, this is a social justice term that's just bastardizing yet another word.
I wasn't mean it from that point. I meant, like, for example, even if you have 2 perceptions of the same story, both are truths, but obviously different truths.
Interpretations, right? Not truths.
But that's what I mean by it. Like, you can
No. They are not the same thing. Do not get confused.
Reckon?
A truth and an interpretation are not the same thing. I will fight anyone who says otherwise.
I don't know, man, because like an interpretation can also be an independent truth.
No,
like,
you might perceive it to be a truth. That does not make it a truth.
Yeah, but that's what I just said. So, like, if you're looking at what is the truth, like as a hard point, like this is the truth, black and white, and therefore people's interpretations of that which make it grey.
Adrian, right? I perceive you to be a black man.
That's obviously true from the waist down. but what I'm trying to say, like, I get what you're trying to say, but obviously not to that extreme. Like, for example,
well, if things don't work on the extremes, do they actually work?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, let's just say you and I witnessed the same situation. Both of our retellings will be different.
Well, I mean, it depends.
Well, that's a science. They've done it, right? It's just like they've done that experiment. So it's like people will reenact or retell different things, right? Because you may have seen different things. You may
we might notice different things. So, we can different. We can but that's not that's not truth.
Well, there is the truth. Well,
yes, things you notice that doesn't make them true.
Well, hear me out. The point is, the ultimate truth may be the same. Let's just say, for example, all the witches died, right? The interpretation or leading onto that truth is the events of which took place. Now, that could be the order of events, who took place, who was seen at fault, and that even there could be subjective to the person of who is at fault. But the end truth is the same, which is all the witches died, but the story leading up to it or the interpretation will be different between each individual. That's why it's said it's like each one has their own truths. The hard truth is still they all died, and they died from X. How they got there in the journey is still different.
I still think that's a bastardization of the word.
It might. Yes, I guess what
there
you're trying to say
there
is.
are much better words that already exist for this exact meaning.
I mean, I'm talking in actuality, not necessarily story writing.
Yeah, so am I.
Oh well, then fuck. But yeah, like, but you know what I'm trying to say? It's just like, you will still have the hard truth, which is that end result, but the interpretation of the events leading up to the truth will always be nuanced,
Yes, but
which is
that
human
doesn't
nature.
make. Yeah, but there are better words than truth. This is my point.
Okay, well,
Your
what words will
truth,
we replace it with?
interpretation, point of view. Like, it's not that hard. They already exist.
I don't know. I sort of disagree
Someone's
with it to a
truth
certain
is just
point.
their experience.
Yes, but individually, that's what you would believe to be the truth.
It's what believe to be the truth, which doesn't make it the truth.
Well, that's what
There
I'm
is
saying.
the truth. That is all.
Of course. So, but what I'm saying is, let's just say if we have those three interpretations, those three people believed their interpretations would be the truth, right? And they can carry what they would be their perceived truths up until this point. So, what I was trying to say is, it's like it would have been interesting to have those three sort of, mixed together. So you got Osha, May, and Sol. Sol being the ultimate truth, where he would confess X, Y, and Z would happen if he does. And that would be interesting to see how May and Osha would react to that same hardcore truth, right? Because both their interpretations of what happened would be completely different. Osha might be completely felt backstabbed because what Sol told her was a complete bullshit 16 years ago in terms of what he told her to say. And obviously for May, it could be something of a sobering truth where I was like, oh, wait, you're not a cunt. You know what I mean?
There's not different versions of truth. I don't know where this came from. That's not a thing. There are not different versions of truth. There are different. You can have all the different perspectives you want.
I think you're
There
looking
is
at the
one
word
truth.
too literally, right? Like if you use it as an expression, like
I
there are
know.
no
I
truth.
understand the context in which you're using it. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just wrong.
Well, to that, sir, I say suck a dick. But but like but anyway, okay, let's just say, let's just take the word truth out of it because I think we're going to move on from there. But everyone's interpretation. So it would be interesting to see. Again, let's just say if Souls is the truth and how the other girls interpreted it. It'll be interesting to see their reaction.
It's what the characters know or believe to be true. That's what we were talking about.
That's what I said.
And each one will have a different perspective on that based on what they experienced.
Isn't that what I said?
My truth is full of shit.
But we just said as well they believe to be the truth. So it'll be their individual truth.
That would be their experience, not their truth, because there is a fundamental truth.
I'm gonna cheese grate my gooch. But yeah, anyway, so that would be interesting, right?
No, because it's just boring. I don't care. Does anyone actually care? We know the Jedi did something bad. It's just like more than likely.
But why do they do something bad? Why are we making the Jedi a bunch of cunts? Like,
because they're trying to level the playing field between the Sith and the Jedi, saying yes, the Sith aren't as bad as you thought, and the Jedi aren't as good as you thought. But the black chicks on the fucking hidden mountain were the paragons of virtue.
I love that the giant mountain just also looked like a giant vag.
Yeah, not very subtle, were they?
I wonder if that was by design or they realized.
I reckon it could be the point. This is just so ingrained in them that it just sort of happens.
They have an unconscious.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of monuments in the world look like dicks.
There's
a lot of phallic shaped objects in the world.
Just long?
Well, like those Egyptian towers with the tall pricks.
The obelisks.
Yeah.
I don't know if they looked at it and went,
No. I'm not saying. I'm not saying that's why they look that way. But there are a lot of phallic shaped objects.
Here's one to deviate the conversation. Do you feel uncomfortable eating a banana in front of men?
No. Because I'm not deep throating it.
Do you feel uncomfortable watching But do you feel uncomfortable watching another man eat a banana? Like, do you, like, what I mean by that is like every time you see another bloke eat a banana, do you watch to see how deep he goes before he bites it?
No,
Out of curiosity, you never go on. I want to see how deep he goes before he bites.
no.
Fair enough.
I'm very comfortable in my in my straightness. I don't give a fuck what everyone is around me.
What about watching another bloke eat a hot dog? It's like I want to see how much of that dog he puts in his mouth before he bites down. Now, I get
If a
these thoughts-
dude's giving me eye contact and then like licking the tip of it, and like go, then
okay,
then
so we
I'll be
lived.
tempted to beat him up.
Wait. We lived together for 7 years. Have we ever made eye contact while eating a banana?
No.
Do you think that's an innate bloke thing? Straight men just don't look at another man while you're eating a banana.
Well, I just don't. Eating a banana for me is not a sexual experience at all.
No,
So
it's
I
not.
don't-
It's not. Like obviously, when I eat a banana, I'm just like, ooh. No, I don't mean that. I'm saying like, but do you think we subconsciously don't look at each other while we're eating something phallic?
No, because I don't look at people when I'm eating anything.
You've
Not
looked at me plenty of
deliberately,
times when you're
anyway.
eating.
Eh?
We've been talking. We've ate together and talked together.
Yeah, but I've never consciously gone out of my way to avoid looking at anybody when I was eating a banana or a sausage or anything like that. There are some times where I've wanted to creep people out and like done it as a joke to like deliberately
I've never seen
eye
you act
contact
sus.
someone.
Never
Eh?
seen you act sus like that. Never seen you act sus.
It's because I'm not sus, mate.
No, but I'm saying even as a joke, like jokingly sus. I'm like, I've never seen you do that.
Yeah, probably it would be very rare.
It'd be fucking weird, but I mean, like, yeah, I don't know how this conversation has gotten here, but like, yeah, I was like, I wonder if you feel awkward watching.
It's because the acolyte sucks.
We're talking about bananas and hot dogs over there. Anyway, okay, back to the show. So making that point, you know, would it be interesting as a story perspective? You know, if the show wasn't a hot steaming pile of cat piss, then maybe that would have been an interesting avenue to also explore. Even, for example, the view between. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say fucking the view between why she cast out her Padawan. For me, I don't care. That's a stupid plot point. You know,
the whole thing's just stupid.
She whipped her fucking pupil with
That's
a
not the case.
lightsaber.
I don't think that's what happened.
Well,
if they
she has a
actually
light whip.
if they actually insinuate that's what happened, then they've forgotten how lightsabers work.
Well, it depends how she whipped him, I guess. But like,
Well, no, if you get, we've seen what happens when you get whipped. Like she cut the cicada clean in half, like you would with a normal lightsaber. If you get hit with a lightsaber, you're fucking dead.
Well, not necessarily, because it depends
Unless you're a chick.
how. No, it's how much you stick it in. Giggity. It's just like, you know what I mean? I can graze you with my lightsaber.
Yes,
or
but
I
how much can
impale
you really control that with a whip? You expect me to believe the amount of scar tissue that was on his back, she has that level of control with a whip?
I don't know. I'm saying if he got the last end of the like maybe, but yeah,
No, but like for that not to have dug into his back far enough to kill him, get fucked. No.
Well, I don't know.
Stupid.
Look, I mean, we had a Jedi and backed it for 200 years in that Jedi game, so I guess
Well, we
anything
also
is
had a
possible.
white man in a bubble.
Oh, the fucking
And a fat
levitating
Jedi.
fucking. I wanted to see that cunt do some force flips, but
yeah, fucking Billy Buffet.
Billy Buffet. But I was going to say we had people with lightsabers impaled these days and not die. But yes, it's heavily insinuated that that's the case. That she cast him out and she whipped him. Now, again, very un-Jedi like. You don't punish. You don't do corporal punishment like that. Like I don't get it. Like where are they going with this fucking story?
This
It's
comes back to
stupid.
something Tom Jedi said last time around.
You've written some down, haven't you?
No. I just remember. Well, you know how he's trying to say, like we were noting it as a criticism that the Jedi are very different from the Jedi that we know, and he goes, yeah, but that's what they're trying to show. That's the whole point. It's like, well, if that's the case, they're doing it badly because they're so different in such a short space of time to what we know that it's just unrecognizable. Like these aren't Jedi. If that's the case, it's like, how did the Order change this much in 100 years? No way. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, because I think there was an interview by Leslie Headland where she basically, I think, said that this is why the Jedi don't want to train Anakin because he's older, because of these two girls. And for that, I hate her even more.
No, surely not.
Yeah, well, mate, apparently, and this is the rumors, it's true, and I saw this very, very reliable source, a random TikToker, apparently talking about this rumor. And you know what? Because the content has been so poop, I actually might think they'll do this. Like, it's not far from what they're capable of in terms of ruining shit.
Go on.
That Shmi Skywalker is related to that coven of witches is to why she has an immaculate conception to Anakin. They want to retcon that whole thing.
Nah, they won't do that.
Famous last words.
They won't do that. They are famous last words, though. No, there's no way. Surely. Surely not. Where'd you hear that? Is that literally on TikTok?
Yep.
Reading him. The nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, when I looked at it, you know, when you kind of do the nervous laugh, you're like, and then you're like, oh, fuck. It's like when I first read or listened to the spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker, I legit thought they were chatting shit. Like, I was like, this seems so fucking bad that it's a joke, right? Like, surely they're not that retarded. Mate, I was at that midnight screening in Queensland with Voldemort, she who shall not be named, and Jesus, I was in utter awe of the pile of shit I was looking at. I could not believe that. You know when like it's like a parody movie going into there, I was just like, wow, you really killed Star Wars. You did it.
Yeah. To me, they only killed Star Wars for people that take their shit seriously. And this is why I say Star Wars ended with the prequels. That's just me. I don't give a shit about that.
Heretic. But yeah, no, like that is the case for a lot of people too. Like, some people didn't like the Clone Wars, which is totally fine. Except, you know what? I've seen it. It's like they're like, look, I didn't like the Clone Wars, but they don't actively try and argue left or right about it. There wasn't necessarily like a whole lot of vitriol or discourse against it. Like there was obviously some online, I guess, you could say, dissent from a few people, especially with like Ahsoka and all that kind of stuff at the start. But I didn't necessarily like, not to this level, you know what I mean? Like they didn't punch on online. Like a few people complained, but it wasn't necessarily like an overwhelming part of the fan that was like, Ahsoka sucks dick. I'm just like, no, that didn't happen. Some people just quietly
Well, I think it
didn't
was
watch
because it was a kid show that wasn't meant to be taken too seriously.
But I'm saying a lot of people just quietly didn't watch it, which was fine. Like, that's okay. By the way, we have someone here.
We do.
A special guest.
Oh no.
The man, the myth, the legend.
The deadheads.
Yeah.
It's deadheads.
Come on, mate.
Yeah, going great. I'm trying to adjust the settings for like push to talk, but I can't find any.
I don't know how to help you there, man. Like I'm pretty new to this myself. I suck. So
You're a terrible host, Adrian.
Oh, I'm the worst.
Could have at least put out a good spread.
Some salami.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? If we ever did a round table, we actually had a camera on all of us talking, I will make sure to get phallic up. Oh, there he goes.
Good chat, deadheads.
Yeah, he'll come back soon. Hang on, I think he's yeah. Yeah, I think it's Working Dead as we can see flicker on and off. He's so sorry, where were we before Deadheads entered?
I can't remember. We've gone on many tangents tonight because
Right.
the show is so shit that we're desperate not to talk about it.
Yeah, so like I guess running it back into that point where after he made Minestrone is where we got up to. And they walk off, obviously insinuating to follow him, and that really awkward part that happened where he put his lightsaber down and got undressed and he swam out for 5 seconds. But it was such a weird, uncomfortable theme. It's just like he knew he was being watched, right? And when she grabbed that phallic object, he's like, how does it feel? I was like, really? Yeah, he grabs his lightsaber and goes, how does it feel? It's like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
And then
It
he
was right on the
swims.
nose, eh?
Oh, dude. Then he swam back, and I swear you could like see his Twinkie. And
the twig and dangleberries.
bro, and he's like, if you're not going to join me, can I put my clothes on? I'm just like, yeah, for kids. And
Wasn't
then he
that
gets
the whole point of it? That scene? Isn't that what they wanted?
for kids.
No, the whole, the Force is sexy shit.
Well, I think that's what they were going for, but I mean, the defenders of the show, or it's the ones that deflected, is like, oh, it's a children's show. It's a children's show. I'm like, we actually saw an action shot of Amanda Stenberg look at his cock.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like in the way they made it, like he may not have been naked, right? Like he would have just had his undies.
No, he would have had like a G-string on or some shit. But she did have a good look and develop a little bit of yellow fever.
Do you reckon she would have G-string on? You don't even see his butt cheeks.
No, you don't. But it was
Like,
just
I mean, the G-string would have been fucking optional. It's like he just chose to. Like I've seen some sensitivity, like when they do this shit. It's like sometimes they wear like socks over their cocks or something. Or it's like this thing that straps onto their cocks.
The funniest thing is that most of the people that are responsible for making the show would have seen his cock and been like, "What's that between his legs?"
You never know, but he could be packing some fucking mighty eel down there. You never know, but
no, but they're all lesbians. They wouldn't know what it is.
I get it now. Sorry, I was like, huh? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So her looking at his fucking dick was like, she added that for effect, or Leslie would have been like, look at his dick again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just think about that. Like when you're directing an actor, like, look down. Yeah, this is for kids. Like, you sick fucks.
Yeah.
And then moving on from that, I don't know where he got his white robes from, by the way. He seemed to put those on out of his ass. And at this point, she still has the lightsaber. Hey.
Yeah.
And then,
and she literally has no reason not to kill him.
And this is my next point. Like going forward, it's just they have a bit of a back and forth. And they try and do the whole romance thing. What is it with now they're writing characters, female characters in Star Wars that are attracted to psychopaths that kill children and shit, or kill people? Like the whole Kylo Ren thing. Like this guy was evil, and Rey's like, yeah, I can change this psycho. I can redeem it. This is hot as fuck. This ain't no ordinary dick. This is Sith dick. Like what the fuck? Like it's so weird. Like you know what I mean? It's like they have a type. It's like, no, I don't want that Jedi dick. I want that Sith dick. It's fucking weird.
I don't know what to tell you, mate. It's it was just creepy sitting there watching her watch him. She might as well have started licking her lips.
Dennis, what did you think of it?
Yeah, it was fucking hot, mate.
Which part specifically? The washing, all of it, or the part where she just looked at his dick?
The part where they're basically fucking rubbing the lightsaber, mate.
Oh, together, yeah. That's when he's like, "Kill me," and they both got their both hands in the lightsaber and shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think the whole point is the dark side is seductive, but they're just doing it creepily.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not like it's seductive if you are a dark sider and you're gonna get pussy because
It
you're
actually
a
would
dark
have.
sider. Like you know what I mean? It's like it's seductive for power, not dick. Like it's just,
Yeah, he should have just come out with like a nice little speech instead of what he did say, and just say something along the lines of, "Look, the Jedi have rules and such, but over here on the Sith side of things, we fuck."
exactly. Like it was so overt. It's like you want to be a Jedi on the streets or a Sith in the sheets. It's like, ugh.
Now come
It's
here and
weird
I'll give you the old sausage.
the South Siege. No, what I've noticed also, just weird thing, you never see any Jedi or people in Star Wars these days cooking meat anymore.
That's a weird thing to notice.
Well, fucking a big hairy Wookiee was frying grass. Just, yeah, I don't know if you noticed that on Kofor. He was cooking grass.
I did not notice that.
Nothing else. He was just cooking grass, and then this guy managed to make minestrone. Like, did you see that? Like, he was making fucking minestrone, bro. I was just like, okay.
Well, I think it has to do with the audience that they're kind of cultivating right now.
Well,
You know?
they don't even want
they're all
vegans to watch
vegan
fucking Star
fuckwits.
Wars.
Yeah,
Don't even want-
vegans, the fucking alphabet community.
Vegan
all that shit.
cyclist fuckwits.
Cyclist, vegan,
You
alphabet.
just know they're just all cyclists.
Dude, did I ever tell you when I was working at in Melbourne at the university there, when they had a protest out front of the university where basically these protesters were not letting workers come back in if they left? Did I ever tell you the story?
No.
So anyway, I went out for a coffee and they're like, oi, just letting you know, if you cross this line, we're not going to let you back in. I looked at their bone density and I went, yeah, that's not going to happen. But I was also just like, you know what? I'm cheering for a day off. Let's go. Fuck it. Who cares? So I fucking walked across anyway. So I don't have to go back in. And, you know, whatever their protest was, I actually sympathized a little bit. I was like, you know what? I support that in a way. It's a right to protest, whatever. Like they weren't being that annoying about it.
I mean, if someone told me, especially a bunch of people that looked like they weigh 50 kilos combined, tried to tell me that I couldn't do something, like I couldn't go back to my house while they were protesting, that would not end well.
No, but this is different. They didn't say you couldn't go home. They said you couldn't go back to work.
Ah.
And I said, say less.
That also wouldn't have ended well.
Really? I didn't care. I was like, okay. I texted my boss. I'm like, yo, these freaks won't let me in. They're like, all right, just go enjoy, mate. Melbourne's
See, like
pretty
if you could get legit time off, but if your boss wasn't going to deal with that, I wouldn't have any problem fucking start swinging.
Well, coincidentally, this is what a lot of people did, right? Like they were going there and they were abusing them, and like, see, I was like,
all you want, just get the fuck out of the way.
Well, I was like, way to de-escalate, but I cracked up because this bloke, again, cyclist, looked like he weighed as much as 2 fucking biro pens put together. Cycled up slowly in his bright yellow skin tight spandex and started acting real tough. I was like, mate, even to these soy-filled fuckers, you look like a kitten without claws. There's nothing tough about a man in spandex. And like, it was hugging, like, you know what I mean? I was hugging his balls so fucking tight. I was just like, dude, like, even they're laughing at you. I laughed at him and he was a colleague.
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, put a shirt on. But anyway, yes, I think cyclists look ridiculous in spandex. Although I do watch
tangent because the Acolyte sucks.
Yeah, although I do watch the Tour de France and the Giro d'Italia because I like it. I take my hat off to their endurance and the sport, but doesn't mean they
all the
don't
drugs they take.
Oh yeah, but doesn't mean they don't look any less manly doing it. But anyway, moving on to that point. Yes, I've noticed that they don't necessarily eat meat anymore, but like what Dad had said, they're appealing to a certain audience and market. Here's a question: do you think that they're doing it because they think that market is diverse, or do you think they're just trying to, or they're just projecting what they like onto?
They're
the
probably
audience?
just trying to include vegans.
Projecting.
I agree with Deadheads here. I think it's not for veganism or promoting. I think they're just projecting what they're like. Like basically, when you
Oh,
write
yeah,
a
probably.
character, like you know what I mean, like when they're writing this character, they're like, ooh, what would he eat there? They wouldn't even think like, oh, some fucking pigeon or whatever, the space pigeon. It's like, oh no, minestrone. That's nice. I don't know. I think it looks like they're projecting a little bit more, but the romance thing. Let's talk about more about that. So we did touch on it lightly. So, Dave, what do you reckon about this whole phenomena with them being seduced by Sith dick?
Well,
Or is it because they want to redeem
this
them,
is
or because
this is stupid on so many layers. Like, okay, firstly, why would he trust someone he's captured just to roam around and not do whatever she wanted? Like, she could go up to his ship and fly it off, and he would be stranded there, and he would have no way of getting off the planet. It's literally unguarded, and he says as much. He goes, "Yeah, ship's over there if you want it." What if she did it? So that's just the first thing. The next is why does she listen to him at all? She's seen him kill everyone that she's met to this point.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like the whole interaction between that, it's like, oh, you killed Yord, and he's like someone that wanted to arrest you. It's like, okay.
Well,
They're
hang
just
on.
like-
Well, if you recall, there was no way he would know that.
Yeah, true, right? And then with little Lezo, he's like, oh, you killed Jackie. And then he's like, well, what did he say? It was just like you
It
would
was
have
just
had
like
the
it
same,
was just going to be a one-sided relationship or something. It was just like
yeah,
that's all it takes for you to forget about that. Really? You
yeah.
felt it in the Force when she died, and then you just take that as an explanation.
And then she said, then he killed whatever who it was. And then I think he was just like, yeah, I did.
You recall I said how stupid it would be if they tried to do a parent trap situation where they're trying to turn the good one bad. You remember I said that before it happened?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're doing it, and it's even stupider than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, the execution is fucking crap.
There's no execution on it that could have been good.
I 100% agree. Like, so again, like, obviously she's being seduced and turning. At this point, I can only say that she just wants some of that Sith dick because his points for turning her towards the dark side are not good. Like, it doesn't take much to turn someone to the dark, does it? Like, say some pretty dumb fucking excuses. The light is good, the light is good, the bad is dark, and he goes, huh, semantics. Oh fuck, that was deep, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, imagine someone said that, like, oh, fair enough. But
like their portrayals of characters are just so simplistic. Like, we've seen nothing of Osha that is not just her being evil. Even from the time she was a kid, she's out there torturing animals and shit. Like, she's just evil, and Osha is just good. Like, there's been no in between with either of them, and now we're supposed to expect that Osha's just going to turn bad for no reason.
Oh, look, I don't think there's much going on in the Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant's head, to be honest. I think her main priority was not the writing, except for more of a statement to say this is the gayest Star Wars, which I don't know why you would think that's a fucking selling point.
And the sexiest.
Gayest and sexiest Star Wars, but yeah. What was I was also listening to something. Apparently, Quamir was only meant to be revealed as Smilo in the second season. Or he wasn't meant to be in there that long, but apparently they liked the way he looked with all his muscles and shit, so they changed the story. Which, if that's true, you basically
that's great writing. Wow.
Yeah, you just sexualize your co-worker. It's like me having a girl in the main part be there longer because I think she's got a mad set of tits. Like, it's the same logic, isn't it? right? Like,
Yeah.
I like this bloke in his
Promote
masters,
her.
this hot as. It's like, all right, well, she's got a sick rack. I may as well keep her along longer so I can look at her rack. Like, this is what I'm saying. I like they do talk a lot about preaching about objectification of human beings, and they're doing a whole fucking lot of it in this show, aren't they?
Yeah. No, it's just the objectification of women that's not allowed.
Unless they objectify themselves.
Yes. Just quietly.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Master Granny Smith? Like, what is her race? Seems like they're fairly lazy with her race. It's just a human with green skin.
No, I don't think they were designed very well, but she is meant to be the same race as Luminara, Unduli, and Barasofi.
She literally just looks like
really poor.
It just looks like a green human.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Luminara, or I was going to say, I don't think
Is that where the
Luminara
Hulk's
had
from?
heavy shows. Yeah, Luminara and Dooley's planet. Well, actually, I can't actually remember what their race is. Let's have a look at the old Wikipedia.
That's owned by Disney as well.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently it's owned by Disney now.
Wow. She's a Marillion. Marillion. Yeah, so I think that's what green bean is.
So she's just a green human.
They're humanoid species.
Well, is it humanoid if she's literally just human with green skin?
Humanoid means human-like. So, for example,
but
even
she's not even human-like. She is just human with green skin.
Not. Well, humans don't have green fucking skin, David.
I mean, they can. I'm sure they can. When they get sick.
Well, put it this way:
I've seen cartoons.
Well, Kiari Mundi is also humanoid.
Yeah, he's humanoid, but he looks visibly different. This chick just looks like she's been painted.
I mean, he could be human. He does tend to lie a lot.
What was Tom's excuse for him being a doofus? Was because he had a...
Oh, apparently he's a psycho in the comics or something.
Because he could fuck his...
But it's just like you don't see in the movies. He seems like a total nerd, like a total nerd for the law.
Well, he's got a binary brain, so he has a highly logical side to him. I don't know. Defenders of this show make up the most wildest excuses, in my opinion, that don't make sense. And I've noticed when they usually get pigeonholed in a section of pigeonholed with logic, with their back up against the wall, they're just like, it's just Star Wars. I just like Star Wars. And I'm just like, my argument to that is the reason why I'm pooing on it is because I like Star Wars. And it's not like, you know what I mean? And it's not because I want to poo in it, is because I have an expectation of the quality it should be. Now, I'm not saying that Star Wars is meant to be an outstanding Shakespearean piece of art, but there was a standard that I wish they could keep on to adhere to. And I always say what you want about the dialogue.
The problem with this is that it doesn't even meet the standard of any show, not just Star Wars. It doesn't reach the standard of any show. Like, there are daytime soap operas that make more sense than this.
I was going to say, remember the show that we grew up with, Around the Twist?
Oh, yeah. Legendary stuff.
That show had fucking amazing writing compared to this crap.
Have you ever felt like this?
Oh, how good is that
strange
show?
Things happen when you're going around the twist.
Around the twist. Oh, so good.
Great show.
The blonde chicken there was, something I thought about as a child.
I can't remember what she looked like.
She was hot.
She was blonde.
Hey, mate. The Italian heart wants what the Italian heart wants. I looked in the mirror.
Italian hearts would like brunettes.
I'm going to be honest, mate. We like everything.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't discriminate.
No, we like everything. I think. Anyway. I mean, like, what? I'll put it this way. Watching Italian TV shows in terms of, this is funny, right? When I go, it's meant to be for kids. Now, I've seen Italian kid shows. I mean, in comparison to what's in here, like, Put it this way: seeing titties as a kid in Italy wasn't necessarily like, wow. You know what I mean?
Well, in
I think-
England, they were literally on page 3 of the newspaper.
Yeah, we were desensitized to a lot of this shit as kids. But then watching Italian TV in Australia, I was like, oh yeah. Anyway, moving on. We're not creeps, but
Yeah. Just going to start a petition, bring back the tits.
free the nip. But like, look, in the context of Star Wars, it didn't belong. Like on the level, on the serious note, it didn't belong. It felt uncomfortable. It felt so out of place, and it was
Was
such
that the only way they could get their point across? Really?
What point were they making with that?
Yeah, like he just for needlessly getting his cock out.
The fact is, he had a pool. He didn't like he had a bath in his house, and he went to swim in the cold water. Like, you know, if you wanted to play that, like she could have just woken up and he was already naked in his fucking hot tub. But that just would have been even more creepy. It's like, hey, you want to heal your wounds in my Bacta tank? Which is funny because there was a Bacta tank there, and yet he healed her wounds. I mean, fair enough. You wouldn't want to throw anyone unconscious into the water. That's also stupid. But still, my point is, you know, this show's shit. This show is shit. Like every time I try and think of like explanations for dumb shit, I'm like, fuck, this show's shit. Like,
it
anyway,
really
David,
is.
Yeah.
Go on.
Go on. No, go on.
No, I was just gonna say more or less the same thing, but go on.
I was going to say, so, all right, we got to the point of, you know, they grab the handles to get the lightsabers. They try to do the romance. Now, off to you. The next part, I'm pretty sure, is with May and Sol and the demented fucking beaver on the ship.
Just, I don't see the point in critiquing any of this because it all falls apart earlier, and then earlier again, and then earlier again, and it just keeps. It's just a rabbit hole of never-ending shit. Again, why the fuck can Sol not tell that it's her, or that it's not Osha? Is there any explanation given for why he can't tell?
Well, I heard the defenders of the show saying that it was not done on purpose. Like he knew all along, hence why he trapped her after. But then you see the demented beaver in the background, you know, after he stuns her, which insinuates that he tipped Sol off, right?
How would he do that? No one else spoke it.
Yeah. Also, just point of interest of stupidity. Why is there a stupidly, conveniently otter-sized hole on that ship?
In the ship. It's been built into the ship specifically for the convenience beaver.
Yeah. I was like, wow. Okay. We're doing this. I hate you even more. Like, I was like, there's literally a fucking corridor made for this demented fucking otter. I mean, I can understand the comedy part of it, like that stupid scene where he starts kicking and punching air.
It was so bad, though. That was not funny in the slightest.
And then Pip comes on her with oil.
Yeah.
Which also begs the question, why is there a valve in a very arbitrary place where you can spit oil at people that is head height? I hate you.
Well, see, like, there's so many.
I hate you so much. Like,
it's like, why was there a hole when old mate back on the mountain when May tried to burn Osha alive? There just happened to be a port. She just happened to know how to like manually rip the switch off the wall and fucking jack the system to open the side hatch. Like she just happened to know how to do that. There just happened to be a perfectly sized hatch for her to escape.
I'm still, you know, when that happened, I was still confused of why bricks were catching fire.
Yeah, that too. But like, yeah, no one ever actually stopped to think about why does she know how to wire things? Why is this hole here?
Mate, she used the thread.
Oh.
Should have used the fork. Remember when we were watching episode 3 and we noticed that they were holding the air as they were plucking a thread?
Yeah.
They thought they were so clever didn't they? Like, I reckon they thought they were so clever. They all sat in a room, smelt each other's queefs, and went, "We're so smart." I was just
You know what
like,
it's like? I don't think I've seen a show where so many words are said
that mean
that
nothing.
mean absolutely nothing.
They should call it vacuous wars, eh? Like, it's just like
Yeah.
the best one is also the fucking the Jedi Master teaching them how to fight. Keep your form tight.
Yeah, just saying random
Minimize
things
your
that makes
defense when need to attack. It's like, okay.
none of this means anything.
I'm waiting for him to be like, I'm a relief teacher. Like, he doesn't know
Yeah.
anything.
Like, that's not hard to like. Seriously, that's so easy to fix. You can just have them say something a little more nuanced than that. Just say, keep your right elbow tucked in tight. Have your left elbow high. Like, just little things like that. So you're actually pinpointing parts of their technique rather than just the broad statement.
Even
your
Kanan
technique
Jarrus
tight.
did this in Rebels, right? Like when he was teaching Ezra in terms, I think it was not counterattacking, but I can't remember. I think he made like a normal comment in fighting, which was like, remember, it's easier to drop your saber than it is to lift it. So like, you know, things like that when getting attacked or advanced upon. So in blocking, would you block up or block down? Like there are, I guess, sword tactics in there which made logical sense. But even things like when you saw Yoda teaching the younglings, it was a bit more of a open sort of spiritual thing of like trust the force and trust your instincts instead of necessarily understanding how to swing a saber. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously they're blocking, I understand it's different contexts, but he did put more of the element of the force into it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that does play into it when you're fighting someone with a lightsaber. It's just
Well,
like,
that in that scene, they're like deflecting blaster bolts. That's what they're practicing.
yeah,
Whereas
well, yeah.
they're just practicing the technique, and they don't give any technical points because they don't know shit. You don't even need to know shit. You can just make it up, but you just make it more personalized, more detailed.
Well, yeah, it's like how Quamir or Smiler Ren tries to do it to Osha, remember? When he's swimming to a naked, he's like, your form's good, but lift your other elbow up. And it's like, which elbow is the other elbow?
Yeah. Not very descriptive. Oh god, there's just so many. This show just gives me aneurysms.
Gives me a boner.
So okay, so oh, you're into that shit, aren't you? Sith in the sheets, you're all for it.
Fucking
What game are you playing, by the way, at the moment, Deadheads?
Nothing. Why?
Oh, really?
I don't think he means at this very moment, mate. I think he means in general.
No, I meant I assumed he was playing a game right now, but
No, I'm not.
no, you're not.
Nope.
Just had nothing better to do.
He's here
basically, yeah.
Well, because I think Deadheads has the same opinion as I do, which is I love looking and listening to other content creators' reactions to each episode of The Alkali. We both love the Angry Joe show at this point in time because I think it's like he has the best reactions to it. It's fucking hilarious.
It's always funny.
Oh,
the power of many.
Oh.
That
Anyway,
feels like it was
so
a year ago.
I know.
It's how painful this show is. It makes it feel like time's going unbelievably slowly.
Because we get to the point now, which I think is even stupider part of the show. Obviously, you know how Granny Smith goes onto the planet, and you know how they needed a tracker sniffing fucking the Wookiees' underwear from fucking 15 years ago. That they
I brought this up live, if you recall.
I did. I always thought it was strange that they had a spare garment of this person. But yes, they get onto the planet without the tracker, and she gets there and finds the dead cunts in minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. And then
she's literally just landed exactly where Sol just took off from less than a minute ago.
Yeah.
And no one stops to be like, oh, your mate just left.
Or you see him in the review mirror and I was like, oh, you dirty cunt. But yeah, and then the soy Jedi was like, could Master Thol done this? And she's like, what do you see? And he's like, I see an explosion, a battle.
Can you?
One-
I have the funniest time picturing him trying to confront Darth Vader. You must cease and desist your Sith activities.
In the name of the Galactic Republic, stop.
Yeah. And then
Daddy's
you see
chill.
Vader. Yeah.
Yeah, Daddy chill.
Vader starts force choking him, and you see him with a massive erection.
Harder.
Send me to the back to tank, Daddy. Oh, fuck me. You know what? Maybe we're being too harsh on this bloke. Maybe it's just his voice. But fuck, anyway, he's not the
I
best.
mean, it
bloke.
is just his
Like,
voice, but it's just like, can you picture him like just facing a Sith with any kind of menace? Can you imagine him trying to arrest somebody and you just...
Well, we saw a little
You wouldn't
Lezo
be able
trying
to
to
refrain from just pissing yourself laughing.
Well, we saw little Lezo trying to arrest fucking May, despite her
That was
having
so
having
dumb.
the Force and a
Why do they read
lightsaber.
Miranda rights? They're not cops.
I don't know. I thought it was dumb. I literally wanted to poke my eye out with a fucking pencil. I was just like, can you please try harder? Like, just try harder. Please try harder.
Literally,
George Lucas's legacy
the
deserves a bit more effort.
The moment she died was the highlight of the show for me. I fucking hated her.
What did she say to her after she saw the moth fucking die?
What?
Remember how they tried to have those meaningful fucking like conversations? Like,
Oh
I think it was
yeah, we're not defined by what we. What is it? It's something about we're defined by what we survive. It's like, what?
Good. It's
No,
like,
we're not.
Good. It's like, what? Yeah. And then she's like, it's an honor to see anything or anyone transform into the Force.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's an honor to see your mates get killed. You're a psycho cunt. Like, I think Yoda said,
for a weapon that can like cut things open really, really easily, I get annoyed when you don't see more people get cut in half.
Or see them like have their insides burned out.
Yeah, like for instance, he stabs her three. He stabs little Lezo 3 times when he could have just flicked his wrist and just completely cut her top half off her bottom half.
oh, they wanted the epic reveal of he has another lightsaber.
No, I know that, but because you could still see the other blade poking out the other way, so you'd still know that. But it's just like you've already got it in it. Just flick your wrist and her whole body will fall apart. Like, why do you stab her another 2 times? It's a weird little thing. You just never see them actually cut people in half with weapons that can very easily cut people in half.
Oh, mate, it's a kid's show, right? You can have naked Asians, but you can't have someone getting cut in half. Let alone a female getting cut in half.
Yeah, no, they do that at night anyway.
I can't wait to see them. Yeah, I can't wait to see how they're gonna like pull it all together, like the ending. It's gonna be dreadful, honestly.
It's going to be like watching a fucking plane full of orphans crash in a plane. Like, that's what I'm experiencing right now. I'm like, this is going to be a horrendous spectacle. Like a burning bus falling off a cliff full of orphans. Like, it's just...
It's a car crash. You can't look away.
Yeah,
no,
curiosity.
I am so G'd to watch it, just how bad it is. Like, is that bad? Look, I'm a massive Star Wars fan, man. Like, you know this. Everyone knows this. I fucking love it. But like, if I think it's bad, like, I'll go hard at it. You'll go harder than me. I'll try and see if there's a redeeming point. In this show, I can't. This is like one of the first shows where I've watched. I'm just like, yo, this is like all of it's bad.
Yep.
Like, all of it's bad. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed Mando 1 and 2. I did. I know people have their issues with it. They're fucking far from perfect, trust me. But I thought they were decent. I liked a few episodes of Ahsoka. I got taken out of that show for some character choices, Dave. I don't understand why you did those. Thrawn was basically running on copium for every failure he had. Like, he was just coping the whole way through that. It was really badly written. I mean, Kenobi was shit. That was really shit.
I never got why people wanted them to make a Kenobi show. I kept hearing all the people begging for a Kenobi show. How many times did I tell you? Because you wanted it as well. How many times did I tell you in person you don't want them to make a Kenobi show? It will suck ass.
You see, I had
everything they make sucks ass.
Well, I had the Filoni goggles on, and then I was like, it's Deborah Chow. And I was like, okay. Then I was like, Deborah Chow's episodes of The Mandalorian were actually really decent. So I was like, maybe, be good. So I thought there was a story of Kenobi between obviously the time on Tatooine and before he met Luke. And, it would have been more of an interesting sort of inward look of Kenobi in his life and what he's going through, the solitude, and how he looks at Luke, and more importantly, how he was communicating with Qui-Gon. So you got to see the bigger picture, but from the cosmic point of view of the Force. Like, obviously you had, Qui-Gon from the cosmic Force being part of the living Force, talking to him and having him understand the bigger picture. So he would have gone really in depth with the lore, and I think that's what people wanted. That part of it, to see how he wards off danger and still keeps in the shadows, you know what I mean? And there is a part in Legends that I know some people might not like, of how he found out Vader was to be. Now, I think there would have been so many more interesting ways of how Obi-Wan could have put 2 and 2 together, realizing it was Anakin without him going off-world. There could have been so many fucking ways to do that. But yet, for some reason, you had to bring Leia into it.
Well, I think the whole idea of a Kenobi show was stupid in the first place.
I mean, that's fair enough. And I think with the fans now, I've gotten to the point, it's like, careful what you fucking wish for, because guess what's left? A very, very popular part of the Star Wars history and timeline. Guess what's left? The Old Republic. You think they're not going to go for that? Fuck, mate, you watch out.
I'm not sure they will.
Oh.
There's not a big enough fan base to hit for that, because there's not enough normies that know anything about that. That's for
Oh, nah, come on, Dave. The Old Republic is huge, especially if you're a gamer.
It is among Star Wars fans, like the super fans, like the really committed ones. I don't think there's enough of them for them to pursue a show about it. Particularly given their shit track record, they'll get no normies to watch that shit.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, right? Like what do you call it? Because I guess the story of Revan itself in KOTOR is probably one of the best stories in video gaming. Probably one of the best in sort of like this sort of genre. I reckon they'll come for Revan, and I reckon they'll ruin Revan too, undoubtedly. Or they'll make it so out of touch with what Star Wars is. Like, maybe they'll try and make it like a Game of Thrones sort of thing, which will be fucking weird, but I don't know, man. At this point, I'm just like, stop, fuck off. Don't touch it.
This is why I say, and I don't mean to be a doom and gloom kind of guy. This is just like, I tend to believe this is just realistic. Nothing they're putting out is good. So, I don't know why anyone gets excited for anything related to Star Wars. Just accept that I'm not saying it's not. Yeah, but it's about a character you don't give a fuck about. Like, who cares? Well, I'm not going to watch that show. I don't care if it's good. I was just like, it's a character I could not give less of a fuck about. I've got no reason to watch that show.
This is what I was going to say, actually, now that I remember, about Andor. I know people didn't necessarily like Cassian in Rogue One, but I thought Cassian had an interesting storyline, which was, things that they didn't carry over. Like, this is why I don't understand why Tony Gilroy didn't fucking watch Rogue One. This is where I got pissed off at, where, in Rogue One, you have him going, "Oh, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old," which was not reflected in the show. I'm like, well, he was in this fight since he was 6 years old. He joined the fight in his late 30s. Like, that was one, that was one thing where I was just like, why didn't you lead on to that? So, like, and in Rogue One, his previous storyline, well, the background was that his parents were separatists, and he was a child in the war. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. Growing up a separatist, then going to the rebellion. There's something that you can flesh out there. So if you had an Andor show, if they explored that more part of it in terms of Cassian and how he changed and how he got recruited, and then seeing all the shit he had to do the rebellion, I reckon that would have been a bit more of an interesting show. Not to say the real quiet moments that you saw with Mon Mothma and, her wheeling and dealing in the background to try and finance what would then become the rebellion was interesting. I thought it really was. But they didn't necessarily, I think, make Cassian interesting in the show. I mean, and you probably had a preempt judgment. Like, you probably didn't give a fuck about him even from Rogue One, is what I mean, which is what I'm hearing, right?
See, like, what matters is the end result. We know how it ends.
With
I
Palpatine.
don't give a fuck about the characters before that, unless it's a particularly notable character. Like, even so, I'll use the Solo movies as an example. Han Solo is an awesome character who everyone likes. Like, he's a universally loved character, pretty much. No one asked for that movie. No one cared.
No, and I honestly still to this day hate how they gave him his name.
But see, like, I don't even care about that. It's just, yeah, you've told me how they did that. It's dumb. But, like, why? If that's the response you get for a legendary character like Han Solo, what the fuck do you expect for Andor?
I hear you. I hear you. So I guess then I'll ask, what would you watch? What would make you excited? Like, what story would you literally be engaged in?
An entirely new story.
What if the showrunner was Leslie Headland?
Well, then, yeah, no.
So
obviously, if the new show was written with competent writers and stuff, I don't give a fuck. We know what happens. The Empire gets destroyed and then revived somehow with the sequels and all that shit. But we know what happens. It all leads to this one climactic moment. The Death Star gets destroyed. The Emperor's killed. Yay, we win. And we know that's how it all ends. So everything else is just another part leading up to that. We don't need it. No, there's no story they can tell that really matters. None of these stories matter.
Well, I guess maybe a story on a different point. Let's just say if it was a story of the Sith, like let's just say if you actually went to their origins or you went to how the Rule of Two came about, where Bane learned it from a holocron of Revan, and they just retell that. Like, I understand that's not necessarily a normie thing because normies wouldn't know that unless you read Legends. So to bring that in front of the normies, which is still something that is interesting to a normie, which would be Sith culture, would then that not bode a good story?
Probably not, no, because it's having villains as the main characters is not. It's very difficult to do well.
Why would that? Okay, so I understand villains, but at this point in time, if it's learning about them and what they go through, don't you think that would be compelling? Because I mean, if you look at, understanding,
it could be, but I wouldn't have them as the main characters.
But that would be the point of the show.
No, I don't think you do things to like. You might have moments where you can split away and see where one of the characters, like, you might be able to follow one of the bad characters, but even then, you would probably have them turn good because you're trying to, like, the whole point of having one of these characters is that you're trying to get someone to root for. People don't root for bad people.
I get what you're trying to say, but I still think wouldn't it be
Like,
interesting?
where does
to
the story?
understand
Where
that?
does the story begin, middle, and end? If your character is bad at the start and he's bad at the end.
Well, what's the difference between a storyline in a live action movie and a storyline in a game like SWOTOR? Whereas a SWOTOR, you follow the line of the Sith, and that actually has some pretty in depth storytelling throughout the game, which is engaging. And that's the Sith storyline. So I'm saying, like, you don't want to
Yeah,
make.
but you don't play as a Sith.
Yes, you do. What do you mean?
The whole time?
As SWOTOR, yeah. You play as a Sith character and you go through the actual Sith storyline. So in the game SWOTOR, you can play as a Jedi, you can play as a Sith, you can play as a bounty hunter. And they all have
so it goes by choice.
Well, you choose a faction, right? You can either be a Jedi, a Mandalorian, a bounty hunter, whatever the fuck you want to be, or you could be a Sith, and they all have storylines, right? So, and the story will obviously change, obviously, on the characters that you play. But with even if you choose a Jedi or a Sith, you can choose to be somewhat good or somewhat bad, and that'll also change the story.
I'll just point out there is a reason why 99% of stories are told from the point of view of the good guy.
But that's also, you want to portray a good message. You always want to root for the good guy instead of being a shit cunt. If you started making stories all the time about villains, that would also portray the wrong message to youth, wouldn't it?
Oh, you don't care about that. It's just more that there's no growth. It's not interesting.
But I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this. I don't, because the whole point of the Godfather, they're not good people.
Yeah, there's morally grey people, but see,
no, but they're not morally grey.
You got concepts of family and things in there that kind of people can relate with. Like, if you're going to do that, it's got to be something like he's got to be wrestling with something that people can kind of relate to.
Well, I guess you could.
Like, he turns bad for a good reason or something like that.
I mean, when you look at Michael, like, yeah, in a way he does, in his own way, vision, but like, or his own perception of what is good. But I mean, like
it can't just be evil people doing evil things because they're evil.
But I mean, when you get into that point in terms of, like, again, being evil, or sometimes that life is seductive and you do evil shit, but like, I'm not saying necessarily like you're rubbing your hands like an evil villain, but what you're doing is bad.
Twirling villain like Palpatine.
Oh yeah, but like, I mean, even if you look at the story of Al Capone and things like that, I mean, like, in his own right, when he started, he may have been a good person, but he did some fucking evil shit. So what I'm saying is, it's like movies about necessarily bad people don't necessarily have to have you rooting for them. Maybe give you an understanding of their perception, but also have a compelling storyline.
See, that's treading different water. That's a biopic. That's an entirely different type of story.
No, I don't think it's it's not a biopic. Have you watched The Godfather?
No.
Fucking what? Okay, go watch The Godfather.
I haven't seen it either.
You guys are pieces of shit. Go watch The Godfather, because The Godfather Part 1 and Part 2 are some of the fucking fantastic movies. And
that's mid.
No, you haven't watched it. And and also, I mean, like, if you want to look at bad people doing bad shit, dude, watch Scarface. The movie Scarface is I hate you. Movie Scarface, watch it. So, like, what I'm saying is, movies about these people, like, even like a movie like Goodfellas. You guys ever seen Good?
No.
I hate you. Oh my god.
Crime movies, like gang movies, aren't really my thing.
Okay, do me a favor. Do you know what? We're not going to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy as punishment.
It's punishment for you, mate. Yeah, it's a lesson in how to actually build a world, unlike George Lucas.
How dare you? That's blasphemy. George Lucas is amazing.
He's built
a bigger world than Tolkien ever could. You cannot dispute that.
No,
you can't.
100% disagree with that.
You can't. He built a bigger world.
Are you kidding? Adrian.
No,
I doubt that. Yeah.
Adrian.
No.
Adrian, look at the amount of pages that he has written, books that he wrote on his own, him.
Hang on.
How many did George write?
Hang on. There are more Star Wars novels in the George Lucas era than.
And Tolkien. George wrote them all, did he?
No, but he approved them. But the point is, no, it doesn't matter. The world is bigger. He approved on the world to be expanded. Hang on.
No.
He approved. No. He approved on the world to be expanded upon, and he did so. The expanded universe does have a more extensive, larger world than Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Now,
that is less explored than Tolkien's one.
I don't know about that. Tolkien's is very good in terms of the magnitude and size and the amount of, for example, species and the lore of each and the cultures.
Dude, there is history for every little dot on the map.
Again, just because of the magnitude of the universe, I'll probably give it to Lucas and his storytellers. I mean, I understand if you're saying as a soul person and a soul imagination, even then.
This is why Star Wars. This is part of why Star Wars sucks. Too many chefs in the kitchen.
No, but even George Lucas's vision to what he originally done with his species and stuff like that, and his planets and his worlds, like, and the cultures of those worlds, like, even if you look at what George Lucas created,
they don't. There's no exploration of any of these.
Hang on. It's hard. First of all, you're gonna, in terms of his movies, what are you gonna do? Get him to go to each planet and explain the cultures? Because I'm sorry, in the Peter Jackson films, you don't necessarily get a sense of that either. Like, you don't. No, you don't. You don't at all. You get the Shire mainly more than all of them, right? Which is true. The Shire is probably the most one that shows a lot more of wildlife and culture. Of course, but that's what I'm saying, from the Shire. But then if you look at, like,
I'm not talking about the movies. I'm talking about the books.
Okay.
I'm talking about Tolkien's work.
Okay, but how many of the people who've actually watched Lord of the Rings have read the books? There'll be a lot more people that have watched the movies.
I don't give a fuck about that. I'm telling you, like, what I'm saying is, Tolkien wrote far more about his world than George Lucas did. It's far more in depth. It may not be as big because it doesn't encompass an entire galaxy, but there's no depth to that galaxy, whereas Tolkien's world is entirely full of depth.
I don't know. I can't disagree on it.
No, you don't know because you haven't read the book.
No, but I'm saying, but I disagree on that. Just again, purely with the magnitude. So even from the prequels, like, you get Coruscant, you get Tatooine, you get Naboo, you get
Adrian,
you get Camino,
things like that. All we know of these places, think about all of them. They're really simplistic. Coruscant's one big city. All we see of Camino is that it's just underwater, basically. Endor is apparently one big forest. Tatooine is one big desert. Hoth is one big ice ball. It's not very creative.
No, it is, because when he built these out, he still actually built them with significant culture. He actually did that. So when he got the looks and themes of his planets, he actually did go in depth of how they operate and their cultures. He did do that. Now, you probably won't necessarily see it in the novel.
Come across. It never came across.
Of course it did.
You got to remember.
Naboo came across pretty well. Tatooine came across pretty well.
You got to remember, I would also expect Tolkien's to be more detailed because his is a book, not a movie. You can't do as much in movies. You have far less time. So Tolkien's should be more detailed. But his world is so much more detailed and so much more thought out, and the cultures are so much more developed in the writings than
there are less of them to write about, right? There are less of them to write about, right?
There's less of them to write about.
Well, there you go. I mean, like, even from there, but even from there, to be written out, like, even if you looked at the Jedi as an entity of how detailed they are and now their culture and their history, I mean, like, there you can go, okay, that's actually fucking pretty profound if you read into it from the start to the end, not the Disney bullshit, but from the old one. But
mate,
I'm the last person to shit on Tolkien because I actually do like it. And I like his work. But in terms of, I don't know, man, in terms of world building, no. I think Star Wars has got it over it.
Star Wars is not close.
Bullshit. That's not true.
The world in Star Wars is cool and unique, and like, that's one of the coolest things about it. But it's not necessarily because the world's built well and explored thoroughly, because it's not.
I don't know about that, man. I mean,
It's
like
just
again,
not. Like,
again,
all right,
again,
name me.
again. No, but again, you're looking at it through the surface level of just the movies, and I understand that. Because even if you want to compare it from books to
You know
books,
why though?
like
Because that's what George Lucas had his hands on.
he did, but he also did want the EU and the Spanish unions to go into those things that he couldn't in the movies, right? You could not
Yeah,
explore
but he
all of
had
that
some
in
other
movies.
people write that so that he didn't have to bother.
No, but he
just had
didn't.
more
He
money
didn't just.
coming in.
No, but he didn't just say go for gold, right? They still had to have history and excerpts from it to actually build upon, right? So even though he may not have written it as fucking word for word, like, don't you think for a second that it was still necessarily upon his guidelines or how he imagined these people? So, for example,
Oh, he would have been giving them guidelines, absolutely.
Oh, but even writing the Sith out and the Sith culture and all that kind of stuff, like their planet, like for example, before when it was Moraban, not Korriban, and things like that, or Korriban, I can't remember what was first. Like even the Sith culture has a fucking history to it and how they came to be, like as a race of people. But this is what I'm saying. Like, if you're talking about in the complete nitty gritty, like, you know, in Star Wars, yes, you have the alphabet Aurebesh and you have languages like Galactic Basic, obviously you have Wookiee and all the other ones. No, he didn't do something as profound as actually develop a whole language of like Elven, for example.
It's not just about the language, it's about cultures. Now, I'm sure there's more development of that stuff in the books. But
No,
again,
okay,
he
no,
didn't
yes.
write
In
them.
terms of like writing, like for example, how he would depict like dwarven culture and things like that. No, there probably isn't something to that in depth. No, you'd be correct. Or elven culture, for example. But then again, like the ones that are most fleshed out in the Lord of the Rings in terms of the culture, you have to argue is the elven more than all of them.
Well, they're the oldest. They're around the most. That's pretty much what the start of the Silmarillion's about.
Of course, but like you want to compare to how you wrote that culture in comparison to, let's just say, just directly across the dwarves.
No, there's
like
there's plenty of stuff on the dwarves' origins. Heaps.
As much as the elves?
The elves are more prominent through history, so they obviously just feature more.
Let's rank them. So, like, obviously, most content heavy with the elves. Second to that would be what, humans or the dwarves?
Yeah, probably the race of men, and then the dwarves after that,
and then hobbits.
Yeah, maybe. Hobbits feature a bit.
What about orcs, goblins?
Less so.
Okay, from there we can say, is the drop off between the content huge?
What do you mean?
So let's just say you say second to the elves is the lore of man. Now, when he goes into the lore of man, does he go into different like parts with Earth of different pockets of humans? Like,
yes,
for example,
he goes into like, dude, when I say go into the elves, it's not just one. Like, there are multiple groups of elves, and he goes into each one, where they came from, how they got there, why they went there. The battles that took in between, the names of each town are named directly for something. Like nothing is not thought out. He doesn't just randomly do shit. Everything
I'm not saying it's completely random, but I was just curious of like the drop off between the lore, because when you, like I said, when you go into, let's say, the elves, obviously, you know, how in depth would be explained the woodland realm, like where Thranduil's from and things like that.
They're not featured as heavily as some of the others.
Okay.
Like the main ones are that they really delve into are the early ones, like in the Silmarillion days, and like the formation of the world and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How the elven race came to be, and then how they went to Middle Earth and the wars with Morgoth and Sauron and all that.
Yeah.
But in terms of depth of lore, there is absolutely no comparison between the two. And the reason I say that is, aside from the books that have been written and all that kind of stuff, George didn't write them. I don't care if he gave his guidelines and whatnot. He didn't write them.
But does that matter though? Like,
absolutely. No one understands vision for your world like you.
But okay, but that's not the argument. The argument was like, yes, maybe not to the vision to the complete T or whatever. But the point of the world building, that doesn't mean the world cannot be built. Right? Even if you
no,
prove...
no. I'm not saying the world wasn't built. It's as a symptom of what I'm trying to say is compare the number of arguments about what's canon and what isn't between the two franchises.
Okay, I understand what you're trying to say there. Now, what would be direct canon in terms of Lucas's head versus what is the entirety of the canon of what was produced from the books and novels and movies and shit? I get it. Yeah, okay. If you're looking at it from a one linear piece of canonical content, I can see that argument 100%.
But if people can't agree on what canon is, how the fuck do you get involved in the world anyway?
Well, right now, people don't think Disney's canon. They think it's a retarded fan fiction, which I agree with, which it is. It's a complete bastardization. Like, say what you want about Lucas. Okay, Lucas isn't Tolkien. Tolkien was a unique artist in his own right. He was also a linguist at fucking Oxford. He was pretty fucking credentially high, right? He wrote in a different manner. He also wrote, time before George Lucas, and he wrote ahead of his time as well. You could probably say in terms of imagination.
Yeah, he borrowed a lot of things as well.
But of course you do. That's inspiration. But the thing is, we're looking at two different things, right? Like now, even if you compare J.K. Rowling to George Lucas, like in terms of the realm of creativity, I mean, J.K. Rowling was great and to build that world, right? But she also borrowed a fucking shitload from real world events. Like if you look at the rise and fall of Voldemort, it's literally the rise and fall of fucking Nazi Germany. If you look at it as crux of it, right? The Death Squad.
No, I'm not like people write from what they learn and what they see and take inspiration from. Like, that happens.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it is a bad thing.
No. But some people would also say that and cuck her creativity and go, well, she just basically just retold that story in a different skin with fantasy. It's just like, all right, calm the fuck down. Like, you got to give them products. Like Harry Potter was a really well thought out fucking story. Now, compare that to Lord of the Rings. Okay, Lord of the Rings is going to win in terms of how content heavy it is. But like you said, Tolkien also wrote extremely descriptive of just when he was walking through fucking places and describing waterfalls and trees.
Mate, he describes small rises in the ground from step to step.
Why?
I don't know, maybe it was just an old-fashioned way of writing.
Well, I guess you had to do it in terms
like
of
these days. If Lord of the Rings was submitted these days and got printed, huge amounts of it would be edited out, especially in Fellowship of the Ring.
Well, I can see the point of being descriptive of your surroundings, because if you're reading this for entertainment back then as a book,
not to this level. Like, he takes it to ridiculous levels.
But don't you think back then, no TV, no nothing, all you had is your imagination, having those descriptive points would have been appreciated to completely immerse yourself into it?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah, back then. So I guess maybe for like context of this time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was a product of its time. But like, if it was written today, it would be significantly shorter.
I don't know if I look at that as like if that's a tragic shame or not. I'm torn between that point, because I think
I'm happy for it to be the way it is because of the time it came from. Like, I'm not expecting it to live up to modern day standards of printing, because that's not when it was made.
But even if it was written today, wouldn't you appreciate the descriptive nature of it? I mean, I don't think many people can write like Tolkien. Don't get me wrong. I don't think a lot of people can, but
it's more because a lot of readers these days, like there'll be a lot of people that writing works for, but there's a lot of people that just don't have the patience for that sort of thing. There's a reason why people say that Fellowship of the Ring can be a bit of a slog to get through. That's a big part of the reason why.
Yeah.
But like, when you get through those parts, the parts that are actually where stuff happens, he writes so well. It's really gripping.
Yeah. How do we get onto this?
I can't remember. We were talking about world building or something.
Was the Acolyte shit? But yeah, no. So yeah, you're right. but also fuck you. Is my rationale to that. No. I'm actually just trying to remember where we were. Dennis, do you remember what point we were on before we got on to Tolkien versus George Lucas?
Yeah, you guys were talking about SWTOR and how it's more world expansive.
Right. No, yes, correct. So writing a story on the basis of the villains. And that's where I recommended watching movies like Goodfellas, The Godfather, or Scarface. So, for example, having a story based upon the rule of two and it's coming in Darth Bane, you think wouldn't make good television because you have to have someone to root for. Where you're saying it'll be more of a biopic rather than a story. Where I disagree.
No. The biopic was when you mentioned Al Capone, because there are biopics of him. It's about him, who was a historical figure and the things he did.
Okay, scrap Al Capone as a historical figure, then purely let's go Scarface and The Godfather, where you can actually see, for example, where Scarface, and you can understand the circumstances of how he came to be. Right now, let's just say you can always write that in to a Star Wars story. Because I was watching something with Ahmed Best the other day, and I liked it because it was a nice middle finger to Disney, because he was talking about his relationship with George Lucas and how he was teaching him, for example, what the Force is and what it means and what it is to be in balance. And he said himself, he goes, he wanted to be the best pupil of George Lucas. And I can't retell it word for word. I got to watch it again. But basically, long story short, he wrote that to be in balance isn't between the dark and the light. He said, basically, George said, the balance of the Force is the light side. That is balance. Where obviously going towards the dark is a quicker and more seductive way to achieve things you want, but you don't do it in the right way. You don't work. For example, it's not like you go through the hard training and the trials to actually achieve X. You go through the quicker and seductive and destructive path which consumes you. But mainly importantly was what is balance, which was to be in balance is within the light side of the Force. And I gotta actually try and find and pull it up, because I'm not doing the quote justice. But within saying that, you could probably pose a story and understand the point of view of the Sith and why they choose to do it. Because remember, the Sith is a religion. First, it was a race of people, but then it became a religious path. The Sith isn't just the dark side. The dark side is but an aspect of it. So, like, you don't think that could be interesting?
I mean, it could be, but it's appealing to a very niche crowd.
You don't think it'll appeal to the Star Wars crowd?
See, like, I don't even think. I mean, it could, but at this point, writing anything is just a death sentence. The only way Star Wars comes back from the quote-unquote dead is if it gets sold to someone else. That's the only way.
What would be your
at this
first
point?
step?
You could write a brand new story, and they're just going to be like, based on what's come out before, we're just going to think it's going to be shit, and no one's going to go see it.
See, here's me. I miss a time when it was just the first 6 films in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's why I don't consider any of this actual Star Wars.
See, for me, I'm just like, because I always have the argument, if you keep going, there's going to be no new content. I'm like, please take me back to a time when I just had the prequels and the OT. Like, fuck, I'll be happy, 100%. Leave me with my imagination on what goes forward. Leave me with my expanded universe. Within that, I can see what I like and I don't like. But at the end of the day, the first 6 are what I hold true. Take me back to that time. So I agree with what you're saying. So let's just say if you were a multi-millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, whatever the fuck, and you bought Disney and you bought Star Wars straight away, what would be the first thing you do?
A brand new story. New characters.
You inherited the whole canon. You inherited the whole canon. You would make one brand new story. You wouldn't decanonize anything?
Oh, I'd decanonize everything Disney have done.
Even Rebels?
All of it.
You bastard. I like Rebels. Even
yeah,
Rebels?
It went a bit off the rails at times.
Okay.
In fact, I would, in terms of canon, I'd be tempted just to say, look, this is George's thing. We own it. I'm not going to say this is canon. This is just something we're making. It's a Star Wars story. If you like it, that's great. If not, oh well.
See, politically, you would have to keep the Clone Wars. You would. You would fucking. That'd be a death sentence to get rid of them.
Don't get me started on the Clone Wars.
I love the Clone Wars, no, but you could not get rid of the Clone Wars.
I enjoyed the Clone Wars at times, but if you're going to say it's canon, that means all of it's canon.
It is
which
canon.
Is really stupid.
Well, whatever. That's what George said. Creator says what creator does, or creator is what creator.
Yes, but that's fine, but that doesn't make it good.
That's a subjective opinion. But I'm saying, like, let's just say, for example, you inherited it. You cannot politically, you could not get rid of the Clone Wars. They would lynch you on day one. That would be suicide. So you would have to keep the Clone Wars as is. You might be able to get rid of Disney season 7. I would too. Fuck that shit. So Clone Wars seasons 1 to 6. So
that's what I mean. I like everything Disney did. Fuck it off.
So where would you lead the story on? Because right now we're in a very tight spot. Hamill's getting older. Harrison Ford gives no fucks about Star Wars, and Carrie Fisher's unfortunately passed away. What do you do?
And like I said, entirely new story.
Where?
I would have an brand new story with different people involved, no correlation to the old one. I would just let that be.
How far into the future?
Or the past, for that matter. Could be in the past. Doesn't have to be in the future.
Well, here's the thing. Now you're going to face the same opposition that Disney are facing. You couldn't fuck with Plagueis. You couldn't fuck with Tenebris. You know, you would have to have something in there that would also respect the Old Republic. You couldn't rewrite Revan. You know, you're treading on waters that are very, very murky.
Again, yes, that might be canon. George didn't write it, so I didn't give a fuck.
Which part?
Any of it.
Well, there's actually a funny part. He actually writ Revan and Bane into the Clone Wars, except it didn't actually make it into the final production. True fact. But even then, right, Revan is a beloved story.
And it is. And it should be a beloved story.
But I'm saying personally for me, I could not tread on those waters because I know where it would fucking lead to, right? You would get fucking lynched because there is source material that you can drag from and create stories. So if I were you, I mean, like, here's the thing. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So if you carried on to the story into the future, right? And you can go, okay, some of the expanded universe shit's pretty fucking stupid. Some of it is.
I mean, if you wanted to get away from everything, then yeah, you just start a new series of movies or whatever else, but it would be way after episode 6, just so there's no ties to it, and you can just basically write any story you want.
Would you refer back to it at all?
I mean, you could have little nods to it, but what would be the point?
Well, not mentioning a Luke Skywalker in the Jedi.
Why would you need to?
Well, in the Jedi Order that was rebuilt, he would be in legend. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you might see a statue. That's what I mean. You might have like many little nods to him. Like there might be a statue of him at the new temple or something.
And here's the other rub. This is what I'm saying, where Star Wars comes with baggage. Star Wars is and always was about the Skywalkers.
Yeah, that's because of the limited writing.
No, that's because how Lucas wanted it. He says, not limited writing, he goes, Star Wars is about the Skywalkers. It's a family drama throughout the series. So you could write the family dead if you wanted to, like Disney did. Probably wouldn't go well with the fans. But Star Wars is about the Skywalkers from that point onwards. So what you see is a lot of his descendants and stories about his descendants focused around that family. Now, you could probably say...
Yeah, but see, do you not see how he's just written himself into a hole?
Not really, because if that's how you want to write it, not necessarily write yourself into a hole. I get what you're trying to say, because now you're limited to just writing about the family, right? I get it. I 100% get it. What I'm trying to allude to is the fact that I don't think you could write a story agnostic from everything without having a Skywalker in the mix. Because if you want to kill the line and kill it dead, essentially that also kills a lot of what Star Wars was about. Now, I understand the argument of the past and the expanded universe didn't have the Skywalkers; it had their own independent stories and about their Jedi's and about the Sith, and that was interesting as fuck. And I get it. You could probably do stories on those, like what you're saying, things that are really far away, or just not write about the Skywalkers in general. But I think maybe you would have to circle back to one that is there or a descendant or something. I don't know. And this is like, I think this is why it's an incredibly hard task, where Disney had the golden opportunity to do one thing that the fans always wanted, which was to bring Harrison, Carey, and Mark into the room for one last fucking time. And they didn't. Right, that was probably what the fans wanted, to bring the gang back together and actually write a great story going off there. Even if you did kill the Skywalkers at the end of that trilogy, you think they would have deserved the great send off, right? Something that would have been satisfying for the fans. Was like what you're saying is George written himself into a hole by just concentrating on the Skywalkers. I mean, that could probably be a fair opinion, right? Because you couldn't move away from him, but he always said it was about the Skywalker. So I don't know how this is. I'm saying, would you then buy Star Wars if you knew it came with this much baggage?
Well, that was something I was going to say as well. Is that I either just wouldn't buy it, or I would just be like, I'm not touching it. It's not mine to play with.
For me, it was perfect at 1 to 6.
Well, maybe not perfect, but
blasphemy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, look, I don't know. Like you said, maybe it is the strength of the rider, the caliber of the rider. I think that absolutely has something to do with it. But see, here's the thing. Like you said, Rebels trailed off a bit, didn't it? In your opinion, when like near the end. But those were new characters.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying new characters can't be done. In fact, I think they should be done.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like those characters were new. They were in the same world, in the same timeline. I mean, we did see Leia in there, but they weren't the focal point. The focal point was obviously Kanan and Ezra and their story to their sacrifice. So, I mean, like when you're saying new people and giving nods and stuff like that, as an experiment, I think, Dave, like if you writ something completely different, a different timeline with different characters, I think even if you didn't include the Skywalkers, maybe you gave nods to the great Luke and whatever, la 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 la. You know, the hardest part then is to keep the essence of Star Wars, keep people engaged. Like, how do you make the audience give a fuck about people they don't know?
Well, that's what good storytelling is. I mean, how did they make people care about Luke? How did they make people care about Han and Leia?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing before that though. Like for me, I guess then, well, how did that make me care about Ezra and Kanan? And I know a lot of people don't give a fuck about Rebels. Some people think it's the dumbest shit to fucking live. I fucking like it. But I get what you're saying. But I mean,
but see, if that's going to be an issue, then that's a problem with the fandom. That's just if they're the only characters that you can, follow and all that kind of stuff, that's the fandom's problem.
No, that's a fair point. That is a fair fucking point.
But I have said this before, and I'll say it again. The biggest missed opportunity was Dooku. The prequel trilogy should have been, in large part, about Dooku.
Interesting. Not Anakin?
Anakin should have been the other half of it.
But why Dooku?
I think almost shouldn't have existed, or if he did, far less prominently. And Dooku should have been the main focus.
Why?
It's just a far more interesting tale. Because then you don't have to keep killing off bad guys and introducing new ones with no story and no background and nothing. You get one guy who starts good. Doesn't that just immediately off the top of your head sound way more interesting? A guy who was in the Jedi Order, a really powerful one, who turned. Not only that, he was the master of Qui-Gon Jinn, the guy from the first movie.
I mean, like, it's a bit of a nothing burger when you compare it to the story of Anakin Skywalker, if you know what I mean. Like, I think maybe he should have played a more pivotal role.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying he should be I'm not saying he should be the focus. I'm saying he should have been one of the main antagonists of like that. So you could have had Maul for the first one until he kills Qui-Gon and all that kind of stuff, and then the killing of Qui-Gon should have been the last straw for Dooku, who then leaves.
But see, even then, like, the killing of Qui-Gon would have been the last thing. At the end of the day, you know, it's showing animosity towards the Jedi for not believing in him. But at the end of the day, it was his master's apprentice that killed him. His animosity should be held towards Palpatine, not the Jedi Order. It was his apprentice who killed him.
Yeah,
so,
you
like,
could write that a different way. Like he's an infinitely more interesting character than what we got with Maul, because Maul, and I'm not talking about.
Well, he fucked
came
off
after.
Yeah,
because we know nothing about Maul. Like, all we know about Dooku coming in, and this was bad writing, was that at the start of episode 2, where there's the assassination attempt on Padme, and she just says, "I think Count Dooku is behind this." Okay, why? There's no explanation of that whatsoever.
Yeah, they just introduced him that way, right?
Yeah, it was because they wrote themselves into a hole. They didn't introduce him earlier. If you found a way to introduce him in Phantom Menace, or better yet, don't just make it a trilogy because it's a trilogy. Like, that was just a dumb idea.
It's not a dumb idea. That's what Star Wars is. It's episodic in trilogies. So, I mean, like, if you're trying to say, like, because that's how the format here, he likes it. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It just limits you with what you can do.
It does, but I mean, like, that's like saying, for example, Harry Potter was only going to be 7 books because it followed 7 years of Hogwarts. So you're limited to 7 years. I mean, fair enough, 7, you know, one more than 6, but like, the story of Harry Potter wasn't as complicated as, I guess, Star Wars is. But I mean, like, yeah, trying to fit Dooku in there, I mean, like, maybe would that exhaust the audience? Because you'd obviously have to have Anakin's turn, you'd have to have Dooku's turn, then you'd also have to have Palpatine, you know, obviously grooming Anakin, then the decline of Dooku, and then the final seduction of Creamy Sheev to Anakin. It seems like a lot. You know what I mean?
Well, no, it would have been ultimately him playing off Anakin and Dooku against each other.
How is this your idea? So, like you said, maybe a trilogy limits yourself. Do you reckon if they actually did, like, let's just say episode 1, Phantom Menace, right? And then you had a movie in between that was very, very Dooku filler. And then you had episode 2, another one in between, then episode 3. So you still had the main trilogies, but then you had those filler movies in between that tied to those 3 trilogy movies.
No, you could have included it in Phantom Menace and just written it a different way. Yeah, like the finding of Anakin didn't have to be as significant as it was.
Ooh,
like, they could have spent a bit of time there. They could have found
point.
him and moved on. They could have cut a lot of that out to then include stuff about Dooku and how his relationship with the Jedi is going.
I understand that in terms of, like, what you're saying, his character development, but I think taking away the way they found Anakin in terms of that way would have...
I'm not saying entirely. I'm like, you could have that as part of it, and I would have that as part of it, but I wouldn't focus as heavily on it as they did.
Because that would have been, like, the whole point of Qui-Gon, right? Like, finding him was the will of the Force.
Yeah.
And which plays to Qui-Gon's character development, does it? He doesn't really give a fuck about what the Jedi want. He only cares about what the Force wants. And obviously he found his fate in putting them together and all that kind of just. Yeah, I guess it's interesting if you with Dooku, right? Like saying he should have played a bigger part of it, because I think, like in Clone Wars and I guess the Legends material of how he set up the clone army with Sifo Dyas and all that kind of stuff should have been explored more upon. Which you're right.
Yeah, like
Dooku
all of that is
extremely
just a big
interesting.
mess. Because they just throw that in there and just like, okay, who was this guy and what was he doing and what, like with no explanation.
It left a lot of questions with Sifo Dyas and all that kind of stuff. Because I think
Yeah, like that.
my main point of interest was like, you found out there was a secret army being made by a Jedi called Sifo Dyas, who is presumed dead. So this raises red flags everywhere of why is there an army for the Galactic Republic being made, and then you end up just using them anyway out of desperation. It's like, oof, carelessness much. So like, I guess in that side, like for me, I was kind of like, that's a bit of a silly thing to do without exploring it deeper, which I can understand on that perspective. I mean, unless he was trying to play to the I guess the arrogance of the Jedi, which was, if a Jedi created, then it must have been for good. Maybe he saw something in the future and he prepared us just in case, and that's the way they saw it, which I'm assuming that's the way they did go about that, which was, if Sifo Dyas saw the future and he was a Jedi, he did this for a purpose. Obviously overlooking the Sith, which I can understand in your head, David. You're probably like, shit writing.
Like little things could be told along the way, and this is why I would like it this is why I wanted Tales of the Sith to have way more episodes in it about Dooku. It's like, do little things like, that first episode where he and Qui-Gon go to that town.
Yeah.
They fight off that corrupt senator and his forces, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, he's musing, I wonder if any change will come of all this. Have a follow-up episode where he's on a mission on a nearby planet or something. And then he comes back. He thinks of that mission and then comes back maybe like 2 years later or something.
And sees that nothing's changed.
And sees that either nothing's changed or that town got burned to the ground. Because then he's sitting there musing on the fact, after all that, nothing changed. I really am just serving a corrupt Senate.
Which I think is I think that's the point they tried to make with that episode of him and Mace Windu, right? Where basically they go there, Windu's really by the book, really fucking like blah, blah, blah. Dooku follows more of his actual Jedi instincts, uncovers the plot, and then also hears the point of view of the people that committed the crimes, and he actually sympathizes with them as well.
And then Mace gets the promotion to the master rank, and he gets shafted.
Well, because he saw that Dooku still didn't follow orders and did something bad, which obviously then goes, are you guys fucking retarded? Which is like a whole point of Dooku, where he probably at the end did see them as retarded.
Yeah, but you just keep building on these little things about why he's getting fed up with the Jedi. He's not believing in the cause anymore. And then as the last straw, after all the warnings he's been giving them and all this kind of stuff, it's his Padawan, one of his closest friends, that dies. Someone that he feels like a father to.
Well, other hands of Palpatine.
Yeah, but you could write it in a way that either they didn't know it was him, or he convinces him it wasn't personal. Like that would be easy enough to spin that was the Jedi's fault for the way they handled it.
Well, I think, isn't that what they tried to do? Where he's like, you lost a student and so did I. Sort of thing.
But see, them working together with him knowing more was there kind of makes not a whole lot of sense either.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, see, with a thing like this, I would have loved to see maybe it be an animated series, you reckon? Like, not even a live action one. I think like the story would probably be a bit better in depthly told as an animation. rather than a live action. Because
Yeah, like
right now,
like for what it was, Tales of the Jedi was fine, and it just could have been.
so your only complaint is that there wasn't more to expand upon him.
Well, it's more that you've got this dude who is just infinitely more interesting than most of the characters in the prequel trilogy, and he just sits on the sidelines. They don't delve into his character at all, really. He's
Well, I
just
think
bad.
for you, Dooku became interesting on Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, he did.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you probably wouldn't have found him interesting in the Clone Wars.
No, because in Clone Wars, he's more or less just bad man.
Yeah, but like I think you're right, because even his backstory is interesting. It's like what forced this person to basically jump and backstab the Jedi. Because even in the Attack of the Clones, when he's talking to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's floating there in that sex dungeon, he's like, he's like, how he actually says, he's like, I'm not too sure if Qui-Gon would have followed the council any longer, alluding to the fact that Qui-Gon also saw how retarded they were and all that kind of stuff, where he thinks Qui-Gon would have sympathized with him, which would have been an interesting take. Even when he said, well, you got to remember, Qui-Gon was once my student, as you were once his, sort of thing. So, like, I guess even in that little conversation with the great Sir Christopher Lee, there was already a great character and backstory being pulled upon, which made the audience probably want to have more of Dooku. But then again, like, there's lots of extended stuff and lots of history about Dooku as well, which, like, if you're interested in it,
I know that, but it's just for the purpose of the movies, more inclusion of him and his story would have been better than what we got. Just like, you could have had a very similar situation of how how Palpatine turned Anakin, be foreshadowed with how we did it with Dooku first.
Yeah. But it ends at Tales of the Jedi.
And then end up pitting them against each other.
Yeah, because you remember at the end of Tales of the Jedi, when they were working together, he wasn't his apprentice, though, at that point, was he?
When he talks to Qui-Gon?
Yeah, he wasn't Creamy Sheev's
No,
apprentice.
Qui-Gon was a full-blown Jedi by that point.
No, I'm saying I'm saying Dooku wasn't Creamy Sheev's apprentice then. They were just working together.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't have been his apprentice because Maul was his apprentice.
Yeah, but that's why part of that made no sense. Like, this is why I feel like they did that last episode out of sequence at times, is because like he's already working for him and doing stuff, and then he's apparently upset about Qui-Gon being dead, and then wants to join forces with him. It's like, you're already working for him. What are you talking about? Like, you've just betrayed everyone you know. And he says as much at the end. But it's like, why? You're already working for him.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to go into that dynamic of working together, of what they sort of promised everything would be, right? Or what Palpatine would have promised.
My point was, the last straw should have been Qui-Gon dying, which sent him that way. Maybe he goes after Palpatine in a fit of revenge, or whatever it may be.
And
Palpatine turns him, makes him realize that it was the Jedi's fault.
Do you feel as though that was insinuated in Tales, that it was Qui-Gon the last straw?
I think that might have been what they were going for, but the fact that he was already working for Palpatine made no sense. It's not really the last straw if he's already working for him.
Yeah, I guess true, right? Like, if he deleted the planet and all that kind of stuff, Qui-Gon would have been maybe just an unfortunate add-on to his rage, rather than the reason why you turn to the dark side and do heinous things. I actually understand what you're saying.
With Dooku being a political idealist, he'd be easier to sway in terms of, look, we're actually fighting for the same cause.
So do you think at that point in time, Qui-Gon should have left the Order a long time ago, already being the political idealist he was, then
mean
learned
Dooku?
of Qui. Yeah, sorry, Dooku, and then learned of Qui-Gon's death, and then lost his shit and turned to the dark side. While he was already.
Nah, I like the idea of him still being there because he's been shafted for like the master status for all this time, and he's kind of just holding on to a thin shred of loyalty or whatever it is, and then his Padawan dies. Well, not his Padawan, but the man that was formerly his Padawan and someone he cares about a lot dies because of their negligence. Is just kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back. Is that he's believing in the cause less and less, and then that happens, causing him to break.
I agree with you because I think the line that he tells Qui-Gon is like, "I've warned them of the coming darkness." I'm like, but you've just changed already to the dark side. And you're doing evil shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, the line there loses its weight because if I heard him say, I've warned them about the coming darkness, it's just like, you ultimately dive into it after he gets fucking gutted by Maul.
Yeah. And it's not like he doesn't know what Palpatine is. I mean, the guy dresses in a black robe and hides his face. He's not exactly going to be a paragon of virtue.
Oh,
And
that's
he's
the
not
thing.
really
He knows who Creamy Sheev is, and this is my point. It's just like with that story with Dooku. At what point in time would you insert Creamy Sheev?
See, that's an interesting part. It's like you could write it. I haven't literally thought about every little point here, but you could write in Palpatine's been like having words in his ear, or blah blah blah, whatever.
Sort of like how he did with Anakin, like little digs here and there,
little bits here and there, because he's a politically interested person,
like
all that
Creamy
kind of
Sheev.
stuff.
Yes.
So you could work that in. That wouldn't be that hard. But then you could have him at the end of episode 1. You could see him walking out on the. This is why I think there should have been a movie in between to explain the Sifo Dyas thing and the setup of the Empire. Create a new problem for that particular time for the good guys to go and solve, with Dooku doing that in the background. Because then by the time you get to Attack of the Clones, we know where we are. And then there's a reason for Padme to say, I think Count Dooku is behind this. We know who he is. We know what he's about. We know why he would want to kill her. Blah, blah, blah. Do you see my point?
Yeah.
I just think that could have been so much more interesting. And then to end it all with Dooku being basically pit against Anakin for Sheev being just ruthless.
Do you know what I love about this discussion, David?
Yes, go on.
That we found something more interesting to talk about than the Acolyte.
Like, does that not sound way more interesting?
Like, we actually went from the Acolyte to start talking about the prequels, and yeah, you're right. It does sound very interesting, like when you propose it that way. It's just fucking. Hang on, is Denzel Washington Caesar in the new Gladiator 2?
What? Why is Gladiator 2 happening? What the fuck?
And why is Denzel Emperor? What the anyway?
And why would you create a sequel to one of the best movies ever made? It just doesn't need it.
I think Kenobi said it right the other day. It's like they only sort of make movies about things that happened before them that was a previously
established IPs. Because then they don't have to create their own.
Wasn't it they have return on investment? It was actually really interesting. Like he said apparently they'll get a return on their investment on a show like the Acolyte, because if they watch the first 3 episodes and nothing else is sort of watched after that, and they've already made their money, which is pretty poor considering the stats that we saw before, which was what, 6 million? That's horrible. Like, dude, there are YouTube videos that get more views than that.
What?
Like, fucking. If you look at throughout the year, some of the other content creators that we watch get like, 20,000 a stream per year. Like, that would get a lot more, wouldn't they?
You'd think so.
Oof, I don't know. But anyway, I mean, you're right. Look, every time we talked about the Acolyte, we just start talking
Went
about
on to more interesting topics. Although we got a fresh new episode to talk about for Thursday's
tomorrow.
one, unless you want to do it tomorrow.
Up to you how you want to do it, but
I mean, we can watch it and then just go live straight afterwards if you want.
Oh, that would be fun. Because it'd be fresh. It'd be fresh.
Yeah.
We'll talk about how we'd do it, but I mean, like, I'm sick of the shills. I'm sick of it. I am sick of them. And I'm sick of how they attack people that just want good writing. It's annoying now. Like, I don't like to be online and being like part of that whole hate train in the algorithm, but like, oh my God, it has gotten beyond a joke, hasn't it? Like, if this is like, if you look at media of how, I guess, a standard should be, right? And we're looking at a lot of all these other IPs basically going down the gurgler for the same reason, right? Whether it be fucking, what do you call it, ID or DEI, whatever the fuck it is, bad writing, this and that. You look at Star Wars as being the one IP where you would previously think, like, surely you can never fuck that up. It's the biggest cash cow in the world.
Mm.
They've done it to Star Wars. They've done it to Doctor Who. They've done it to The Lord of the Rings. Although the
Star Trek, they've done it to Indiana Jones. They've done it to everything.
I will say something though.
Halo, they did it to Halo.
Halo.
Halo as well.
I like to say something about the Lord of the Rings fans. Is like they universally rejected the Rings of Power and go, nah, that's not canon. Didn't make a big hoo-ha about it online. Didn't give a fuck. Just didn't watch it. It's like, nah.
And this is the benefit of the world having been built by the one man, with maybe little additions from his son, who followed his vision to the T as much as he could. Is that there's way less things in dispute about what's actually part of the canon and what isn't. It's just you rarely hear it.
I didn't realize Slim Shady was an elf.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The one of those little acolyte things that try and fight non Gandalf. Have you seen that part?
No.
Yeah. I thought it was retarded. But yeah, Slim Shady. I thought that was a chick, apparently. Is that a chick or is that a bloke actor, Daddy?
I thought it was a chick too.
Oof. Well, I mean, that's how they write men these days. But yeah, what I mean by that is like the sort of the unity of the fandom of the Lord of the Rings fandom isn't polarized, split. They're pretty much on the same page. I mean, there's a few of them that are like, yeah, it's cool, but for the most part, they're just like, no thanks.
Yeah, and this comes back to what I was talking about earlier with like most of the canon being written by the man himself. The more people, the more chefs there are in the kitchen, the more shit there is to talk about.
No, I'm talking more about their online behavior.
Yeah, but they behave the way they do because most of them are in agreement about what matters and what doesn't.
So with the fandom that strong, wouldn't you think that would still cause a bit more of an outrage in, I guess, in the defense of the great Tolkien? Because they've said some pretty outrageous things about Tolkien, right? Like they, basically alluding to the fact that he's a raging racist.
Yeah, I don't think anyone, because I think a lot of the people in this sphere, at least in like Lord of the Rings fandom, are just normal people. They don't give a shit. They don't listen to these wankers that say that shit.
They don't necessarily fit into the
yeah. They don't play the game as much.
Interesting.
Which is typically like how I like to do things, but you drag me in.
Hey, you love shitting on the Acolyte. It's good fun.
I do love shitting on it, but
it does play into, I guess, what you're saying. If we actually stop talking about it, they'll stop caring. But then again, the Nielsen numbers should be shocking enough for any Disney investor to go, oi, we're in trouble here. We're seeing a pattern of decline.
Yes, but the pattern's been going on for more than long enough for them to have not greenlit this show. Which, again, makes me think they did it on purpose.
Which goes back to your conspiracy theory.
Donald Trump, mate. Donald Trump is responsible.
Oh, imagine if that was true. I killed Star Wars for a political reason. Before we end off, because I gotta go to bed. Deadheads. Give us a conspiracy theory to end the show with.
I don't know any.
Oh, come on. You'd know some good ones. I know you.
Disney was trying to make everyone gay.
That's not a conspiracy theory.
I was going to say, is that even a conspiracy theory? That's just sort of what's happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a conspiracy. I don't even think that's a tinfoil hat. That's just like, well, everything's pretty gay at the moment.
That's all I got.
It's actually getting to the point where, like,
that's
like,
a fact, huh?
It's like you're not gay. It's like, no, I'm not gay.
Well, we better fix that.
Ooh, time to eat some phallic objects. Did you see the there's a meme that I think Jeremy for Geeks and Gamers released. I don't know if you saw it, and it was like Disney to kids, where it was like the scene between Luke and Yoda. Remember when Luke in Empire's like, "I'm not afraid," and Yoda's like, "You will be, you will be." There was one he was like, he's like, "I'm not gay." Then it turned to Yoda, and it had like Disney Star Wars, like Yoda had like pink hair and all that shit, rainbow flag, and it was like, "You will be, you will be."
That's funny.
It certainly feels that way. Hey,
yeah.
I
keep telling you, mate. They're not trying to tell a good story. They're trying to get their message out there.
What message? Why does everyone have to be gay? Like, I don't get this. Like, how does that help?
Someone is benefiting from all this.
Why? We're having a nation of gay people. Like, you know what I mean? I don't care that gay people exist. I just don't think that Disney or anyone else actually realizes the actual percentage of, like, I guess LGBT people to, I guess, what they would call now cis people. It's just like, it just seems to be like, why? I mean, like, everyone's accepted it. Like, I don't think anyone has not accepted gay people. And if you have, then I guess you are a raging homophobe. But, like, I mean,
there's always going to be those people out there.
That's what I'm saying. Homosexuals in our society have been pretty well accepted in media, even throughout the 90s. So I'm just like, fuck, this isn't new. Like, why are you shoving it in our throats? Like, I don't get the purpose of it. But it's gone beyond gay and lesbians. I don't even know where we're at now. Like, I thought furries were weird in 2017 when fucking Deadheads told me the concept of what the fuck furry was. Yeah, that was when that was like around the same time as you, David, where I came back on the internet. I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like, it's like that fucking
Can you imagine if you'd been in a coma since like 1995 and woke up now?
Wow, odd neck. Like, if I fell asleep in 95, woke up in fucking, dude, bro, like, what happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah. How did everything go so wrong?
I mean, that's what it feels like from, like, remember 2018? And, you know, I remember you and I when we went to PAX in 2018 and we had a little giggle to ourselves. Remember when we were looking at the PAX promo and they had, like, the diversity lounge?
Oh, yeah.
And we went for a walk there to have a look at it, and there was no one there. we're like, so what's the diversity lounge? And it basically was like, oh, it's where diverse people can hang out. So me and you were just like, so we're not allowed in there because we're.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So I thought we were going to go there just to piss them off. Sorry, you can't come in. Racially discriminated against. But yeah, but anyway, we went to the diversity lounge and what did we see? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
There was no one there. There was just people still on PAX's main floor enjoying the content, which was actually pretty fun that year. But ever since then, remember how things just went spiraled? I remember it happened with little things where, like, the hot topic of the day back then was Amaranth doing dumb shit. Amaranth and Alinity doing dumb shit on the internet where
Yeah, I remember that.
like people did the most silliest things.
That was when the Twitch thought epidemic was rife.
Oh, that's when PewDiePie was still on YouTube. Wow, that seems like so long ago now. But like I remember people would get banned for the dumbest shit, and then Alinity would launch her cat across the room and no one would care.
Yeah.
Like shit like that. Or she would pop a tit. Amaranth would pop a tit. And they'll slowly start popping more and more. And just, I guess, then they were testing the borders of like what Twitch would allow them to do. And then they finally just went, fuck it, and made an OnlyFans. And then Amaranth blamed her husband for the nudity. And then 2 weeks later, she was making more porn. Somehow Amaranth's husband returned. But anyway, it started off with them and ASMR, and we're just like, what the fuck? And then pronouns came into existence, and people started fucking identifying as trees and pot plants, and now there's sensitivity training at work. Then they tried to make my dad wear pronouns. At Bunnings Warehouse, mate, they tried to give a pronoun badge to my father.
Yeah, I could imagine how that would have went.
Exactly how you think it would have went.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what? Out of all this time, my father's only gotten a warning at work.
That's amazing.
Yes. Anyway, I don't know where to lead off from here, but a conspiracy theory. Okay, you give us one besides your Donald Trump one. We have to have a conspiracy theory for the week.
A new conspiracy theory, you reckon? All right, I will do an in-universe conspiracy theory. Leslie Headland is actually the bad guy in the show.
What?
Just a conspiracy theory. She will end up being a character in the show and being the bad guy. I don't actually think that's what's happening, but you said come up with a conspiracy theory, so I gave you one.
So she's the villain.
Yep.
So she'll come out
She's
one day.
both the literal and figurative villain. But again, I don't actually think that's the case.
You know what? Though she is the villain. She created this shit.
Yeah. Well, the villains are whoever greenlit it, really.
I mean, God, Dave.
You know,
apparently it was Pablo Hidalgo.
I don't know or give a fuck who that is.
If I showed you a photo, actually, if you would think what, actually, I can't say this online.
I think I've seen him before. The name does ring a bell.
He looks like a dick.
Right.
Anyway, on that I need some sleep.
Yeah.
And I think today's episode is a testament of the fucks given about this dog shit show. Because I can tell you, in talking about it, we didn't even try not to talk about it. It happened naturally.
Yeah. We just talked about more interesting things.
Yep. And you know what? Before we leave, I want to just play one more thing. Just so we can relive it.
Tonight we enact a ceremony we have
not.
Oh,
God. Why do we torture ourselves?
We were hunted, persecuted,
I fucking can't.
forced into hiding, or
Wait for it. The best part.
Because some would consider our
Are you ready? Where's the ring wraith?
That's it there on where the mouse is. Oh.
Are you ready?
we were on the brink of extinction. We were blessed.
What was that? Like, genuinely, what was that included for? What purpose did that serve?
She's so out of character. It's like she accidentally farted and cracked up. Like, you know what I mean?
How good's this scrotum with horns next to her?
That thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a bloke.
It looks like a bloke.
Did it?
I just like that would have been directed. Like, so she was directed to do that. Why?
Hey, Dennis. Where
Yeah.
is he? Are you
Yeah,
seeing
I'm
this?
watching it. Yeah.
Look how out of place she is.
Extinction.
It's just like out of everyone. It's like, what are you doing, psycho? Like,
We were on the brink of extinction. We were
what the fuck? And then you hear it again.
blessed with a miracle. The gift of life.
Oh, there's a ring wraith. Sauron, where have you sent me? There it is again. Can you hear it, Daddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I can hear it.
The fucking they added it in again. And then
She meant to be one of those fucking hyenas from The Lion King.
Yeah. Anyway.
Spear chucking.
Okay. Anyway, on that note, I fucking hate this show.
Miracle. The gift
All right,
of
lads.
blessed
What
with a
time
miracle.
tomorrow? We're gonna watch it, and we're gonna go live straight after.
I just want to make her as a GIF icon.
Brink of extinction.
Like, that perfectly sums up the show.
What do you
It really
think? of the
does. Just like
there is so much to talk about this scene. We spent fucking 3 hours and we didn't even get to the end of it.
yeah. No,
Then
I'm
I
telling you,
just-
dude. We could talk about that one scene hours and hours on end about why it's so bad.
Would have to like take off where we left off because Tom Jedi came in and just basically started jacking off over Disney Star Wars again. But anyway, I'm fucking tired. We're gonna work out how we're gonna do this tomorrow. I fucking hate the Acolyte.
Yep.
Dennis, any last words? Basically. Now, one last thing. Do you think it would smell being amongst them?
Oh, like fish.
Definitely, mate. I'll be wondering who's cooking fucking clam chowder.
Clam chowder. Oh, we're
Accurate.
gross. All right. Peace.